May 27th, Hollywood history meets radio history as KROQ's own Adam Carolla is honored with a star on the legendary Hollywood Walk of Fame. Wednesday, May 27th, 11:30 a.m. at the corner of Hollywood and Highland. This isn't just a celebration of one career. It's recognition of a city, an era, and the soundtrack of Southern California itself. Join Jimmy Kimmel, Dr. Drew, and generations of Loveline fans for Adam's induction as a Hollywood icon, while celebrating over 50 years of the greatest radio station in the country, the world-famous KROQ. Wednesday, March 27th, 11:30 a.m. at the corner of Hollywood and Highland. Congratulations, Adam Carolla.
Thanks for tuning into the Adam Carolla Show. You can watch the full show on YouTube. Just search Adam Carolla Show and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can also get the podcast wherever you like to listen. And for extra content, ad-free episodes, and more, you can head over to our Substack and sign up today.
The Adam Carolla Show.
Well, ex-Navy SEAL Joel Lambert, or maybe there's never an ex-Navy SEAL. Maybe you're always a Navy SEAL, is joining us. He's got a book out called A Navy SEAL's Bug-In Guide to How to Turn Your House into the Safest Place on Earth. And it's available now as we speak. Lots of distinctions for Joel. Done some acting, too. Been an American Sniper and Patriots Day. But also was a lead instructor for BUDS, which I believe stands for Basic Underwater Demolition, as I recall.
SEAL training, that's it.
SEAL training. Out here in California back in the day. Good to see you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Been a fan, of course, since the 90s, and real happy to be on here. And happy to see all the stuff you've been putting up and standing up for. So thank you for that. Very grateful for people like you with platforms that are speaking a reason to the insanity.
Well, you know, it is interesting. I've had a number of Navy SEALs and folks of that ilk on the show over the years.
That's accurate.
And I don't know in advance when people come on this show. You know, I have comedians, I have actors. You know, I'll run into guys that are like hardcore lefty, you know, almost militant lefty, like an actor or comedian or something. I didn't even know where they stood. But whenever I hear Navy SEAL, I'm like, all right, we're simpatico. We're going to be on the same page. But how do I know? Well, I know we will be because I played football and I did construction. So I know I'm dealing with someone who lives in the real world. And there's no more real world than being a Navy SEAL.
No, that you come Adam, you come in the BUDS, Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training. The whole point of BUDS, and I was an instructor after going through myself, is we are peeling with a razor blade, a scalpel, like an onion, peeling layers of their existence off and exposing it to the air and the sunlight. And what happens is you either get to the core and you in Hell Week or someplace around there, you stare into the void and you get to see the very nugget. You're exposed to the core of your soul, the very nugget of your existence. And if it's good, great. You come back out and you're able to move on. But if there's a rotten spot somewhere on the way in, that's what we're doing to screen people out. So it's an exposure process. And so the guys that have gone through, even the ones that may have other issues, and there's a lot of us that have a lot of issues, you know that the very core of their soul, they've been into a journey to the very nugget of their existence and come back out, because that's the screening process.
I've had many a SEAL, and it totally makes sense, explain to me that it's really mostly mental, and that the guys that are jacked and the high school football studs and everything tend to flame out faster than the guys who just have the grit and the right mental mindset.
That's exactly right. I always say it's 100% mental and it's 100% physical. But what it is the mental is the make or break. And we get to their mind, we break their mind by going through the body. So we put the mental pressure on the person by giving them physical pain and in copious amounts of discomfort and putting them in situations under extreme amounts of duress, especially underwater. And those are the things that will break someone mentally, but we do it through the body. That's why, team guys are usually very physical, even though, like you said, the ones that are jacked and the ones that we call them as instructors, we would always call them gazelles, because these are the kids that in high school, they were, they were state champion wrestlers or sprinters or something like that, or they're NCAA wrestlers or something, and they never lost. They don't know what it's like to lose. They don't know what it's like to have your dick dragging in the dirt, bloody and beaten, completely demolished by whatever it is you're going up against, and have to keep going after you've been mentally demolished. They don't know what it's like. So the guys that are used to getting kicked in the dick over and over and over throughout their life, they're the ones that do pretty well because they're able to handle that kind of just mental stress of not being able to cruise through and cruise across the finish line, throw the great game-winning touchdown, and then go to prom with the head cheerleader.
No, I completely agree, and I was thinking about this, which is I put this theory together. I started to notice that the guys who were former professional football players who were offensive linemen moved on and were having success in business and in the booth and all that kind of stuff. And I was just talking about this with the Rams. Let's see. We got to look this one up. Andrew. Andrew, I think the guy's name is Andrew, who just retired from the Rams. He had the gray beard, made the Super Bowl, retired like 2 years ago. Andrew something. He's a giant guy. But he's up in the booth. He's doing great. And Wentworth, I think his name is Wentworth. Anyway, I met him. Fucking guy's huge, by the way. But anyway, I met the guy, and he's doing great. Andrew Whitworth. And I told him, I feel like the guys who are the offensive linemen are doing better outside of the league in business and beyond than the ball hawk, bonus baby guys who scored all the touchdowns, because the guy, you're used to slugging it out in the trenches and giving it up. You have to be very giving, and you cannot be selfish, because all you're doing is blocking for the guy who's getting all the cheerleaders and the attention, and he's on the cover of the newspaper. You're trying to push a 300-pound guy around and getting no credit. But then that mentality, once you go out into the world and you have to collaborate and do business, is a much better attitude to have. And so offensive linemen who you think are big dumb oafs turn out to do much better once they leave the league than the guys who run the 4.240s.
Totally. They're the ones that are used to getting run over by the defensive linemen, Right. They're used to taking the hits. And the guys we get that come in, they aren't used to taking the hits, and particularly the mental hits. The ones that have always, they've always been the fastest guy. They've always been the strongest guy. They're used to winning. You get to buds, there is something in that screening process and in life as a Navy SEAL that will crush you, that will destroy you. There will be something that you're not great at. And how do you handle having to dig down into that very core and find something to be able to get you through something you're not good at and you can't breeze through? Some guys, that's everything in buds, but other guys, I had a guy when I first started training, he was a professional triathlete. I mean, he was sponsored by Cytomax and all these he had all this free stuff. And nobody ever found out why he had joined the Navy. He got in trouble somehow, but he was a professional triathlete, and he would lap collegiate swimmers in the pool. In 100 meters, he'd be lapping collegiate swimmers. Running, he was the one who would sing our cadence for the instructors because he was the only one who had breath on the runs in the sand. And that guy on a room inspection, on a Monday morning, room inspections, the instructors come and they stand outside your room and they go in. Really, it's an excuse to just mess with you. They come in your room, and if they find any hits of detailing or cleanliness issues or disorganization, 3 hits and you fail, and then you get sent to the surf and you get beaten for several hours. Push-ups and pull-ups and 8-count bodybuilders and things like that. And he quit on a room inspection. This guy was just jogging along. All the brutal physical stuff was cake for him. But the mental pressure of someone yelling at him in his face and humiliating him during a room inspection broke his soul, and he quit. And that was like 2 weeks in. So it's different than what people think. They think, you're just going to charge through and be punching. It's like Rocky says, it's how many punches you can hit and you can take and keep moving forward. How much can you take and keep going forward? That's the key.
Yeah, and then that just translates into every facet of life.
Exactly.
And I don't think people...
And character.
Oh, in character. Ugh.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understand really what's going on when we're sort of messing with character and telling people that, I get in arguments with people. It's like, don't take that Ozempic. And they're like, why not? Lose a few pounds. Like, what's wrong? And I'm like, because you're losing your character. You want to have to say, I would like to have a piece of cheesecake, but you know what? I'm not going to do it. Because it's not good for me. Or I would like, whatever that thing is, we are now trying to deprive, especially young males, of those things because we look at them as hostile or dangerous or somehow, it's toxic masculinity. No, it is not. We need it. We're depriving people of it. We're getting really bad citizens. We're having character issues, and we're getting a bunch of fat, lazy, angry people. It's not a good plan.
I think it's an aspect of this this fifth generation World War III that we're in. It's destroying the truth of who and what we are, so that they can bring a counterfeit in, and get us to think a different way, the way that they want us to think, and to create the world that they want to exist in, which is not something that I'm going to exist in.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and I can't figure out whether it's like nefarious or lazy. Like I can't figure out if there's a bigger plan to essentially, it's like, I know the Russians love us to argue about race, and so does China. They love that we just sit here all day and argue about something that doesn't basically exist in this country, because every second we spend having some sort of race-based argument is another second they can move their military ahead. So they must be enthralled with the fact, and then that we elect stooges like Biden who get up there and agitate about race every fucking speech. They must be laughing their ass off at the notion that this is all we do. So maybe that's a nefarious part of it. And remember, when the Russian bots were getting involved with the election, most of the stuff didn't have anything to do with Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. It was all mostly race-based. So we take the bait.
We do. And I think I'm fairly convinced it's fully intentional. This is, are you familiar with Yuri Bezmenov? You probably are.
Sure.
Yes. So it's all laid out. This is all strategic, in my opinion. I think it comes back to the Tavistock Institute, social engineering and conditioning. We are so programmed, and we've been seeing it especially in the last 5 or 10 years. Human beings are so easily programmed. We're walking computers. You just write some software into us, and they can get us to do anything we want. In fact, in the 60s, what's his name, during, I think, the Warren Commission or something, or the church hearings or something, the director of the CIA said, give me 3 months and I can make any person, hate their parents, and I can make any person think anything I want them to.
Right. Now, it doesn't work on you. And it doesn't work on me because we went through things in our past, and we cannot be malleable or as easily manipulated as some folks can. I call it crate training. They got to get the pup when he's young to crate train him. They can't get old dogs like us. We can't be crate trained. It's too late for us. So that's why they're so interested in your kids, because if they can get those kids young, then they can train them up, and they can get them to do what they want to do. But the real question for me is then, where does CNN factor into this? And or many politicians, are they all useful idiots, or are they on the payroll? Or, how do you parse that out?
I think it's USAID and all the AID, and I think they've moved in and they've taken control of so many things. It all comes back to the central banks, Adam. It's the central banks and the fiat currency, and that is the control system that they use to debt enslave us. I mean, the amount of slavery, that the wealth they are extracting from humanity, and the control that they're exercising over it, is the central bank and taking us off the gold standard. And boy, you send me down some rabbit holes here, my friend.
No, I get it. But the thing that's kind of interesting is the people who, sort of per capita feel the strongest about these subjects are people with experience like yourself. And so on one hand, you go, well, some of this stuff sounds pretty crazy to the average American. On the other hand, who's more pragmatic than a Navy SEAL? You know, like, you're not a middle-aged housewife who believes her cat thinks he's a person and who wants to go get her fortune told. Like, so what you would say, so let's try to square this off for a second. I'm just going to break it down. You would go, a Navy SEAL. Okay, that has to be the most pragmatic person in the world. There are jobs that need pragmatists, you know, airline pilot, construction engineer, you know, they're jobs. Yeah. And then then there's the DEI counselor at the college. You know what I mean? She doesn't need to know anything or do anything. There's no consequence. There's no gravity. But Navy SEAL. Okay. Now, per capita, the Navy SEALs have more of the kind of thoughts you're sharing with me than the average superstitious housewife. So you go, well, how are the most pragmatic people in the world sharing ideas that seem, I don't know, tinfoil hatty to a lot of people? And then you go, well, one of the other components of being a Navy SEAL is traveling and seeing things and going to parts of the country where this stuff is playing out. It's not really playing out here. We have protests on college campuses and then everyone goes and eats, but we don't have real life and death shit playing out. So you have experience as a Navy SEAL. You go to these places where this stuff is in full effect and you have a job, but you also have ears and eyes. So how do you square all this?
Well, and if I could add one thing to that, we also, especially since I've been out of the teams, I've been out of the SEAL teams for a long time. All my friends now have worked or are working at CIA, NSA, DIA,
BlackRock,
friends at SBS, SAS guys. You know, we have all the people we communicate with and we work with globally are all like us. And they're all move on a lot of times to careers in government and in the intelligence agencies. And so we have connections. And so it's not just me traveling and what I think and my proclivities because of the kind of man I am, but it's that I know these people. I know people who are in the tactical operations center when Benghazi went down. I know the guy that was running that. I know people that were on the ground that got the stand down order and things like that. So when I tell people what really happened and they go to MSNBC and they say, well, no, that's not what really happened. I'm like, well, I know people that were there. You know, tell me about what Brian Stelter just told you. You know, it's a very different way, a different. You're seeing a very different part of the world. I am. You make a very good point, which is once they leave the team, they go into the sometimes private sector, but they go into that world as a continuation of what their experience and their expertise is, and then they get to be present when things go down. And then you're right. So you have whatever on MSNBC, but then you actually have guys who are in the room when the shit did go down. And so you have a peek behind the curtain of what goes on, as well as a bunch of experience. And I never really, I forgot about the part after the Navy SEALs where you were employed in that business. So what's your take on then? Is Trump present a threat to this? Why the crazy derangement syndrome with Trump? I personally think that Trump is the outlier, and I think that what happened was that they had everything lined out. They had 8 years of Obama, and we were going into 8 years of Hillary Clinton. And Obama teed it up, and Hillary was going to take us into World War III, eliminate the Constitution, and because losers of wars they get to be occupied. And there would have been some false flags, probably from North Korea. All the bad guys they set up on the TV are not the bad guys. So the TV says they're the bad guys. Start questioning that. If they're hammering like Trump. that's just not necessarily the case. I think that the Five Eyes, the intelligence agencies, all the areas that the controlling entities of our world operate through, the central bank, the intelligence agencies, the military industrial complex, Eisenhower warned us about, JFK warned us about, all these power controls, Catholic Church, all these structures that develop in the world have been infiltrated and taken over because they've been recognized as power structures. And so the people that have been running this stuff for a very long time have infiltrated all of those, I believe, and taken control. And so when things come about and rise to some sort of prominence, they infiltrate and take control. So I think all the power structures that are happening right now have been infiltrated and taken control. And then you have the outlier. But then that doesn't mean that there weren't some good guys working behind the scenes. I don't know. Did you ever see a AMC series called Turn?
No.
It was on George Washington, and it was the spy ring he had during the Revolutionary War that actually turned the tide of the war and allowed us to win the Revolutionary War. It's phenomenal. Anyway, I think starting then, there was knowledge that these entities that control the City of London, the Vatican, the Washington, D.C., those three corporations that control everything through the spiritual, military, and banking arms, I think that they have, boy, I'm going to get offed. I think that they have established these control structures and taken them over and have directed things very effectively. And now, but also there's still some good guys working behind the scenes that recognize these structures. And I think that Trump and all the people that are working with him and behind him, Trump's just the figurehead, have been putting things in place to counteract this move that these people have been putting in place for a very, very long time, which was the 16-year plan, the final 16-year plan of Obama and Hillary, because I think I personally believe the United States Constitution is the only thing that's really standing in the way of complete total world domination by the globalists. And so I think that that Trump came in and surprised them. I think that Hillary was never supposed to lose. And I think that probably what happened is when Trump came in, they never thought that he was going to be able to, do what he did, like all the other outliers that have tried, Ross Perot and throughout the years. But everyone's always been controlled. There's another great book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman, which really goes to where this control structure is kind of started. But I think that that Trump came in, was the outlier. First, they didn't take him seriously because they're able to mitigate his first term. But I think now they're starting to really realize that this is probably going to be the destruction of their entire global system that they've been working on. Really, in the United States, they've been working on it since we started, but since 1913, and the Federal Reserve coming in and taking us off the gold standard and putting us on this fiat currency that we pay interest to borrow. That's not backed by anything. It's not real. They just print pieces of paper and then we pay interest to borrow those pieces of paper. It's insanity, but it's starting to get exposed, and I think the exposure is going to take it down. So I think Trump is the good guys. I think we're in the middle of a most amazing psychological operation. It's World War III. It's a fifth generational war, which means it's a war of narratives played out by non-state actors. It's an information war. And I think that Trump and those guys are all exposing what is really the real structures of the world, not the ones we've thought we've gone along with, that we thought, that our money really meant something and that our government had our best interest in mind, and that the news was actually the news, and it was not all Tavistock controlled social conditioning. And so I think that we're in an exposure phase, and now we're starting to turn the ship around. I'm very positive about things, but
yeah, I am too. But let me ask you a couple specifics. Yeah. And by the way, we'll get into the book. No, I'm interested because I'm like you. I'm trying to figure out what role does everyone play? Like when it came to COVID, we had a lot of useful idiots. And so the plan with COVID was scare all the housewives, and then all the housewives, once we scare the housewives, then they will control the kids and they'll control the husband and they'll control the protocols at the house, you know, so they'll be in charge
liberal white women,
of liberal white women, and will scare the shit out of liberal white women who are always looking for a reason to be scared. By the way, they're always either scared or victims or powerful warriors. I've never seen.
Know which one
I don't know what day is it? Tuesday? So what? Are you a fucking oppressed victim today, or are you a queen Nubian warrior?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Are you paying for lunch, or am I opening the door?
Right.
I don't know.
So they toggle all over the place, but that's their thing. But they're useful idiots. I get it. And then there are the folks, you know, there's Rachel Maddow. Now, she's getting paid, but I don't know what she believes. And then there's people like the Obamas who are secretly bad people that nobody thinks are bad people. They think, you know, well, maybe we disagree on a few social subjects or something. They're race hustlers who are just making money and fucked up the country, but no one wants to say anything negative about them because that's a hate crime. But here's my question. If I got Michelle Obama and Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, if I just got them all in the room and we tilted a few beers and we just laid our cards on the table, would they just explain that they hated this country and wanted money? Or would they say, no, what I'm doing is a good thing and that's going to be our salvation? Like, what are they doing? Like, I get what the Black Rocks are doing and I get what the big industrial military complex is doing. I'm trying to figure out, like, what's Obama? Does he love this country? Is he just want money?
Spiritual war, man.
What is he?
I think it's a spiritual war. I think we're really at the place where it's now. It's light and dark at this point. It's a spiritual war, and I think that the people controlling this and some of the high people, including the Obamas, are very deep in some very dark stuff. I think this goes back to the cult of Moloch and Baal and human sacrifice and cannibalism.
So we're going
and some real
full
dark
in on like Epstein.
Oh yeah,
Pizzagate,
Epstein,
everything.
Frazzle drip. Yep.
And so for people, it's weird because guys like me, almost like, here's the way I feel. I feel like the love of my life, the woman I've been married to for 30 years, is poisoning my oatmeal. And then I walk around and I go, man, I feel sluggish and I have a headache all day. And at some point, one of my friends goes, I think Michelle may be poisoning your oatmeal. And I go, get out of here. Get out of here. Were you kidding? Why would she want me to die? She loves me. You know what I mean? And at some point I go and I get a toxicology report from a doctor and he's like, we're finding strychnine in your, and I go, get out of here. What is in it for her? Why would she do this? We've been married for 30 years. I take care of her, you know. She loves me. She's poisoning your oatmeal. And I just go, I don't believe it. Why would she do this? So that's where I'm at with all of this stuff. I'm like, really? Pizzagate? Pedophile? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, that's spiritual war is what I think it is. I think it's light and dark. I think we're at a very spiritual, very angels and demons kind of place, is my opinion, because it comes from, if you trace the people that are running this stuff back through the black nobility and the Rothschilds and all of them, those people, and the 13 bloodlines and stuff. It all goes back to the cult of Moloch and Baal, pre-Christian stuff, Sumerian stuff. Child sacrifice and really ugly Old Testament stuff. And these people are still around.
So these are just modern manifestations of age-old cults. And basically, all right, let me say this and tell me what you think of this statement. You go back and you look at these characters from the past. You could find a Hitler or a Pol Pot or somebody like that, or Idi Amin or something that long ago, and then at some point you could go to Marquis de Sade or somebody, and you could go. So we all wrap our mind around evil from days of yore. This guy was a sadist and he killed for pleasure and whatever like that. And then you go, and now there's us in modern times. And then part of us goes, well, look, we have genes and we drive electric cars and we have air conditioning, so we're not like that anymore. But then you go, well, wait a minute. As a student of psychology and as a student of physiology, we haven't changed that much. I mean, it would stand to reason that there are evil people that just walk amongst us. Just because it's 2025 doesn't mean that was bred out of us in the last 1,000 years. Why wouldn't there be evil people around or people that do want power and whatever? And that's kind of your summation, right? You're like,
that's what I think. I've gone down a lot of rabbit holes. I've read a lot of books. I've know a lot of people that are in high places in various governments around the world, and in special operations forces, obviously around the world, that have seen and done a lot of things. And so I've gotten a lot of inside information, and I've also, really sacrificed a lot in my life for the pursuit of truth and understanding what's really going on for my own development. I want to be the most powerful and most developed human I can while I'm in this meat suit. And so that means that my ego's got to take some hits while I grow, And I think what we're really running into, you were talking about some of the brainwashed people and such. I think at this point, like you're talking about, my wife's poison, I can't believe that. I can't believe that. Well, in order to really wake up to what's actually happening in the world, both what we really are as human beings and the real political state of the organization of our world, is it's an ego confrontation. You can have your ego or you can have the truth. And one of the things, and the Obamas were masters of this, is that whole narrative through the mainstream media and all that tells you you're good. You're the smart ones. We have to take care of those dumb rubes that won't wear masks and don't understand that the Republicans are all racist bigots and stuff. And so it feeds an ego, and they feel like they're good people by not having to do anything. They don't have to really be good people. They don't have to confront their own shadows. They have to just do what the TV tells them, and they're good people. And so then to confront any truth that might be different than what the TV tells them, now it shines a light on their, maybe I'm not good. Maybe I'm not the smart one. Maybe I am actually brainwashed. And that, to be able to face even the merest possibility of that, is a savage blow to the ego. And as you know, our ego will kill the host before it'll allow itself to be threatened. And so I think that's what the roadblock we're running into with a lot of people.
I think it's also two-parters. It's a sort of past and a present, which is, if we go back and examine what it is you were wrong about and have been wrong about for the last decade, let's just say, then, and we establish you were wrong about a lot of it, well, that's the past, and that's an ego blow. But then there's the future, such as, why should we listen to you when you were wrong about all this stuff? So if you are going to prognosticate sports gambling and you got the last 7 Super Bowls wrong, and now you want to make an announcement, well, then we're not listening because you're the guy who's wrong about all this stuff. And you go, but I make my living calling the Super Bowl. And we go, yeah, but we're not going to listen to you because you were wrong about all this stuff. So it's bad for business. So what you should do is never admit you've lost the Super Bowl, even though we know you lost the last 10 Super Bowls. But you make a living announcing who's going to win the next Super Bowl. So that's why none of the news outlets are doing anything or saying anything, because they would be essentially ruining their franchise.
Absolutely. But then sometimes they can't help it. Like Jake Tapper just wrote this book on how they were able to cover up Joe Biden's decline. Well, go back and look at Jake Tapper calling people out for mentioning anything about Joe Biden might have a cognitive issue, and then people don't notice. That's the thing that's crazy. This was just a couple of years ago, and nobody remembers that.
No. No, well, people, look, here's the problem. People have a horrible memory when it comes to them being wrong in the past. They 100%. Have horrible memories when it comes to them being incorrect in the past.
That's the ego protecting itself. Yep.
Yes, and not only do they have bad memories, they have reconstructive memories. Yeah. They remember them smelling like a rose instead of being stinking wrong. And I've had it happen. And I also realized that it's not necessarily lying. You know, I had an incident where I was up on stage and I made a joke up on stage in front of a live audience. And my on-air partner at the time said, I made that joke. And I said, no, you were there, but it was my joke. And he said, no, I made that joke. Educated person and a good person. You know, I said, well, the good news is it was a live podcast. We taped it, so we'll find the tape. And we listened back to it, and he said, go get the tape. Go get the tape. Well, I said it. He didn't say it. But he was 1,000% convinced he said it. Now, the reason he thought he said it is because it was funny. And he wishes he said it, but he didn't. But he wasn't lying. He was sober, and it was like 6 months ago. Yes.
Your ego comes in, and the ego, its main job. The ego's main job is to protect you and protect itself. As we identify as our ego.
I agree, and I hate to cut you off, but I deal with guys who are guys like Dr. Drew, and they have a lot of integrity.
Just on his show, he's great.
Oh, good. Now, his thing is I would like to get smarter and better, so tell me when I'm wrong. You know, I don't want my ego shielding me. I want to be exposed to this so I can have some growth. Now,
that's a strong man.
It makes sense to me. Don't we want to get better? Would we like to continue being incorrect in perpetuity, or would we like to expose ourselves to a little bit of headwinds? And once in a while, by the way, when you get used to it, your ego doesn't. It's not a big deal to be wrong, especially if you hang around with smart people, because smart people have a high batting average. And so there are people that go, tell me about this. I want to learn about it, and tell me what I got wrong.
Right.
But it is not the default setting for human beings, and they fight almost violently to protect this thing that doesn't count. It doesn't cost anything. There's nothing attached to it. And yet they dig in and they really hunker down.
Yeah, like Morpheus said in The Matrix, he said most people are so inured to this matrix, they will fight to the death to protect the very thing that's enslaving them.
Yes.
Because it's the comfort. Yeah.
So you go, all right, so it's a perfect storm of scared white women and people on MSNBC and CNN and whomever that are carrying, maybe big pharma as advertising enough where they have themes they have to get into and things like that. Right. Then there's sort of Elon Musk, who's a disruptor, who buys Twitter, and then they all go nuts because he's buying a platform that they were using to push false information on people and take down accurate information by people who disagreed with them. And that's why, by the way, why so threatened? You know what I mean? It's like Elon Musk bought Twitter. Okay, so what? Let him do whatever he wants on it. You want to go on?
Other people say they're not going to censor people.
Right.
Why is that a problem?
Right. And why do you need to appoint a czar of accuracy and mis and disinformation if you're not handing out mis and disinformation? It
seems obvious.
It seems very apparent to guys like you and I why they're. It's essentially, here's the example I use. Cop pulls you over. You know what I mean? Hey, can you pop the trunk? I want to check, see what's in the trunk. There's nothing in the trunk, officer. Good, then pop it. Let me take a. No, you can't. No, I'm going to need my lawyer. Well, is there anything in the trunk? No, there's nothing. Okay, then pop the trunk. Let me have it. Nope, just road flares and a scissor jack. Well, then pop the trunk. I'm not going to pop the trunk. It's like, okay. Pardon me, but now I think there's something in the trunk. Yeah. And you guys protesting over everything all the time makes me kind of wonder, are you really into free speech? Because every time someone starts talking about free speech or actually practicing free speech, you try to tear them down.
Yeah, 100%. It's a sad place that we're at, but I think that we're righting the ship, so to speak. So I hope that things still continue on the path that they seem to be.
Well, I agree. So, sorry, I didn't get into your book.
No, it's no big deal.
No, but I want to tell people Listen, I'm with you. I've done a few things in my life. You ready?
Yeah, fire.
Okay. All right. I tell people all the time, look, somebody's house is going to get robbed or ransacked or looted or something. Let's just make the guys go across the street and not have it be your house. You know, you're not going to build Fort Knox or Hitler's bunker. You're just going to make it a little more difficult. And I've told people a million times, when I had a car stereo in my truck, I painted it brown. It was a Sony digital car stereo, and I spray painted it brown, the color of the dash. And I didn't do a good job either. And everyone said to me, why did you do that? And I said, to make it less attractive to steal. And I lived in L.A., and this is in the 80s, and everyone got their truck broken into, and everyone got their stereo stolen, but not me. I parked in Hollywood, on the streets of Hollywood. I got my truck stolen 2 times. I got it back because I put a fuel cutoff switch on it under the bench seat. So that was easy. Nice. And for about $1.75, I kept my truck and I kept my stereo, because I just did the 2 things that I knew would work in terms of getting the car stolen or getting the stereo stolen. I didn't build a cage around my truck. I made it unattractive for them to do this. And that's essentially what you can do at home, right?
Yes, absolutely. I cover a lot of that in my book. It's not about, like you said, you don't want to build a fortress that's it seems impregnable. Well, there's something they're protecting in there. I want to be, we call it in buds, when we go back to SEAL training, when students come through, there would be students that would come through, and then you'd be sitting at graduation as an instructor, and you'd be nudging your buddy like, you remember that guy up there? I'm like, no, I don't recognize that guy at all. He's graduating. Well, we put him through training. I don't remember him. We call those the gray men. The gray men are the guys that go through training with your eyes just slide over the top of them. They're never at the top and they're never at the bottom, but they don't get any attention, because in buds, if you're the best guy, that gets a lot of attention. You're going to get extra attention from the instructor staff, which is never a good thing. And if you're in the bottom, you're going to get all kinds of remediation, and that's a very bad thing. But to be the guy that makes it through training without any extra attention from the buds instructor staff is the way you want to do it. That's the easiest way to get through training. And that's what you want to do with your house. You want your house to be the one your eyes just slide right over. There's nothing in there of value. There's no reason, nothing attractive there. You want your place to be not examined for, that's pretty impregnable. That guy's done a great job of, making it unattractive. We want it to not even be noticed.
Yeah.
Just like your camouflage dash radio.
Yeah. Well, it was unsellable after I painted it brown. Paint your house gray, everybody. A Navy SEALs Bug-In Guide is the name of the book. Joel, we'll have to have you back, and we'll talk conspiracy theories for as long as you got.
There's good stuff. It's more people are waking up. It's great.
I completely concur. Joel, thank you so much for joining me today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yeah, they're in the business of keeping your car on the road. There are not many car issues I can't figure out. I rarely get stumped, but if I do, I'll call O'Reilly immediately. They've got thousands of parts in stock, either in store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. They'll also test your battery for free, and if it needs to be replaced, they'll help you find the right one. Whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you'll see the employees at O'Reilly Auto Parts are helpful and friendly. O'Reilly is your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself. It's O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right, Dawson?
Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam.
At first, I didn't think it was real. I woke up to this blinding light, and I was transported to another place. Pluto TV. Then I heard a voice.
Come with me if you want to live.
There were thousands of movies and shows, and they were all free.
The truth is our
It's just so beautiful.
On Pluto TV, free streaming of Terminator 2, Fringe, Arrow, The 100, and The X-Files may cause excitement, loss of sleep, and sudden belief in extraterrestrials. No credit cards or alien encounters necessary. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
And Rob Riggle in studio. Got a book out called Grit, Spit, and Never Quit. Notes, and then it stopped. So now I'm going to look up here. Yeah. Oh, notes. Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be like notes from the edge or something. Yeah, I made some notes. Anyway, Marine's Guide to Comedy in Life.
Yeah.
Rob's one of the good ones. The only Marine on Manhattan Island for a while. Is that correct?
Well, I wasn't the only Marine there, but my reserve unit was the only reserve unit in Manhattan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mike August always thought there was a sitcom in being the only unit in all of Manhattan.
Well, I remember the first time I think I ever met with him, I was pursuing comedy and acting in Manhattan at the time, but I still had my day job with the Marines. So I think somehow he saw me doing something with the UCB theater or something, but he was like, "Yeah, come in for a meeting, kid," basically. And when I went to meet with him, I was in my uniform. And he was probably like, I think he was baffled. He was like, "What the hell is this?"
He decided, as he often does, that the story would be better if you were the only Marine on all of Manhattan, which does not mirror the truth. But how big was your company?
The unit was small.
The unit.
Yeah, the unit was very small. It was probably 20 to 30 Marines.
So that was all, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still kind of an interesting story being one of 20 or 30 Marines in all of Manhattan, right?
Yeah. Because there were other Marines, but they were on like recruiting duty perhaps or other things. That reserve unit that I was in was more of a training unit. So there were, it was a lot of FBI agents, a lot of cops that, they had day jobs and then they were in the reserve units,
There's, as I was looking at your book, there's some similarities like you and I had, which is kind of bopping around. Like you were at UCB, I think. I was at the Groundlings and then Acme. Sort of bopping around for like 9 years and nothing's really happening.
Yeah, just grinding. And the not knowing, is all this time and energy that I'm pouring into this, is it going to lead anywhere, or am I just wasting my time?
It's kind of interesting, and I've never thought about it, but I didn't have a sense of wasting my time because I came from a group of time wasters. You know what I mean? Like they just did nothing and everyone I grew up with did nothing. Yeah. So it wasn't like, well, if you didn't, for all the time you spent with the Groundlings, you could have been a great cello player or you could have been a surgeon or a celebrated attorney. Nobody did any of that. So it would have just been more beer and more TV if I hadn't done that stuff.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So I wasn't looking at it as a trade-off. Like if nothing comes of it, it still wasn't a waste of my time because I would have been doing nothing. Anyway, there wasn't an option to get a master's degree or something.
No, I hear you. I think I had this sense, because I started late. I spent all my 20s, my whole 20s basically in the Marines. I didn't take my first improv class until I was 28 years old. And, I joined the Marines when I was 19. So I just didn't, it's not a lost decade. It was a great decade. I wouldn't trade it for a single minute, but I wasn't doing what all my peers were doing, which was taking the classes, getting on stage, working on their either act or their skills. So I felt like I started so late that I felt like there's this constant fire under my ass to get something done, figure it out quicker, figure it out faster, find some way to get traction. I always felt that heat on my backside.
Well, the Marines, even though it's not comedy, is a good training program for like football, branches of the military. Like, there's a part of a sport, like in football, I played 10 years of football and I not very rarely, a small percentage of what I did involved football. The other part was like running bleachers and pushing sleds and living in the weight room. And I depending on what position you play, I never even touched a football. Yeah. I didn't really play football until the game. Right. Everything else was sort of drill.
That's right. And
then you go, well, what's running bleachers have to do with football? And it's like, it's good. It's good for it. It's discipline. It gets you in shape. Whatever. All the various drills, dragging the sled around the thing and the whole everything. And then you go, well, what's that have to do with comedy? Well, it's good. It's good. It gives you a base, and you get kind of resilient.
That's it.
Which you need.
That's the word. It's about resilience and discipline. If you don't learn those habits early, they're really hard to learn later.
Right.
And there was times I was going to practice because I'm the same way. I played football from 5th grade all the way through high school, and this is back in the 80s too. So 5th grade coaches treated you like Woody Hayes. They would hit me over the head with the whistle and the helmet, and your head would ring.
Yeah.
That was one of their favorite moves. Then they'd chew you out like you were a college athlete, and you'd be crying, and they wouldn't stop. They'd keep going.
Right, right.
Like they had no mercy. You got tough quick, and you got mentally tough quick. And then you'd go, sometimes you'd just be working out in August in 2-a-days or whatever, and you wouldn't know why. It was just hell on earth. But you did it because you were supposed to do it. You were disciplined to do it, and you learned how to do these things, and the resilience came with it, the discipline came with it. And I didn't realize those intangibles would pay off all through my life. Still to this day. Still to this day.
Well, they can be applied to anything.
Yeah.
And I don't think people really get that. If you get that toughness and the resilience and a little bit of grit and a little bit of push through pain, just a little are you hurt or are you injured kind of thing. You kind of get through that. And then what happens is little stuff pops up later on. Like they go, you're going to drive to Vegas and then you're doing 2 shows, but you got to do a podcast before that. You're going to be too tired to do that second. I go, no, I'm not.
Yeah, I got this.
And they go, you're going to do the podcast, then you got to drive to Vegas, but you got to hit the stage like a half hour after you, and then there's a second. You're not going to be in any condition. I go, yes, I will. By the way, it's all I can do to stop yelling, calling people pussy all the time. But I'm like, oh, yes, that is nothing.
I'm proud of our generation. I'm very proud of our generation. I think we were raised on resilience. I give coaches, the coaches I had, they were SOBs. They were hard-nosed guys. And the drill instructors I had, they were hard-nosed guys.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't have they were reasonable men, right? They would feed you. They would if you had a dangling broken arm, they would let you go, they would let you sit down. But they didn't give you outs all the time. They made you stand there and face the fire. And what I always learned, what I appreciate about them so much now looking back is I had this is what I thought my maximum was, right? I was always like, 5 more sprints and I'm going to die. 5 more and I'm going to throw up, or I'm going to, and then I would throw up, or I would pass out, or I would collapse, or I would just say, I can't run one more. And they would push me beyond that. They'd say, oh, you think your limit's here, your limit's way up here. And I'd be like, don't even talk about that. That's impossible.
Right.
We're going to do a 26-mile hump with 80 pounds of gear in what, 12 hours or in 8 hours or whatever it's going to be. That's a marathon. That's crazy.
Right.
And then you do it and you realize, oh, shit, I guess I can do that. I wouldn't even conceive it. That's why I love them and hate them. I hated them at the time because they pushed me too hard. But then they showed me what I'm really capable of. And then I got a whole new perspective on life, because once I pushed through my perceived limits to my real limits, it showed me that I am capable of so much more than I thought I was, which then allowed me to think for the first time in my life, well, if I can do all these things I didn't think I could, maybe I could be an actor and a comedian, because I had that dream, but I just never thought it was real. I put a cap on myself. But because the Marines showed me, oh, you can do way more than you think. Then all of a sudden I started to allow myself to dream again. And that's when I said, all right, screw it, I'm going to go for it. And I got out of my own way. It helped me get over my own fear. And so I give them a lot of credit, because those intangibles, people always say, well, Marines and comedy, how does that go together? It doesn't necessarily. But the intangibles do.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how people can expect to fare without overcoming things and doing more than they thought they could do, and having all the sort of old-timey sort of pioneer spirit things, that your grandpa knew and all that kind of stuff. Plus, they're on pharmaceuticals and stuff now. But I realized that dealing with situations, for me, I got a lot out of building houses. I could build houses, and so stuff wasn't a thing. It was always just a process. Like I could see people being intimidated. Like they go, we got to demo out the bathroom, and then we got to build the bathroom, and then we got to get the tile and the plumbing and stuff. And I go, yeah, but you just do it. But I also realized they don't have the experience of doing it. And the experience is invisible, but it makes everything easier. It makes writing a book easier if you've built a house.
Right.
Or if you've done a marathon with an 80-pound sack, rucksack on your back. So we are denying that what is a privilege, but we've mistaken it for pain, or we've mistaken it for some sort of punishment, but it's not really a punishment. It's more of a sort of a privilege. And we've denied that. We've decided to remove that from the landscape. And so a young person, especially a young man, we have removed all of that from their vista. And they're now going through life with none of that sort of officer and a gentleman, it's raining and the coach is, the DI is calling him mayonnaise or something and telling him to do one more push-up and he's like yelling, I won't quit, and all that. We've all those great movie scenes, we've removed that from every young boy's life. And then, they're 25 and we expect them to have their shit together, and they really fucking don't. They're lazy, they're unfocused, they're sort of non-disciplined,
Entitled,
they're overweight. There's a whole bunch of shit. And because they don't have any tools in their toolbox at all. There's a moth in their toolbox.
We denied them the ability to become resilient.
Right.
Because I'm a dad, and I have to try. I balance this. I have to try to forgive myself a little bit, because as parents, we want to help our children avoid the pain that maybe we endured, but we think by coddling them and carrying them over the obstacle, it somehow helped them. All it did was make them weaker. Their resilience is atrophied.
Yes,
and so they don't have the ability to do those things because we denied them, thinking we were doing them a favor, when in actuality, you got to let them get the bloody nose. You got to let them fall out of the tree. You got to let them get kicked off the team, or, not start in a game because they didn't practice hard. You got to, these are the lessons that you learn that allow you to say, I'm going to try harder. I'm going to come back. We've gotten smart. I think you can get smarter about it. Like my football coaches in the 80s, we would have 2-a-days in August back in Kansas. That's friggin' hot, right? I mean, it's unbearable heat. And they used to march us down to the water fountains in the stadium. Mm-hmm. And we would stand there and look at the water fountains while he talked about the fourth quarter and how you had to be mentally tough, and how you're going to be dying of thirst, and you're not going to have any energy left, and it's going to be the big game and the game of your life. And now let's get back out there, and we nobody got a drink. We had to go back out and run some more.
The water, first off, I really feel like I was waterboarded, but the opposite. Like
water denied.
I got sand dumped on my head, which is worse, because water. And I don't know why, Dawson, this popped in my head, but there should be a picture on the computer somewhere of me playing football, like an old black and white one. I'm standing on the sideline.
I've seen pictures of you. I've seen pictures of you
talking to the coach, and the coach is holding my face mask when he's talking to me. That'd be a hate crime. Now he's literally holding my face mask because I was the defensive captain. He was trying to tell me to do some shit. He was like,
"Oh, they drag you around.
Pay attention.
They drag you around. They grab two of you and get you banging heads."
We had a couple things. We had at the park. There'd be the drinking fountain behind the baseball diamond. So we'd run laps, go behind that diamond, turn left, go behind that backstop, go behind the 4 backstops. Yeah. They're all spread out. There's a drinking fountain behind each backstop. And everyone was dying because it's the San Fernando Valley. And they thought water was bad for you. They tell you, you'll cramp up. You don't want to cramp up. Like, I'm going to cramp up. I'm going to die. So they'd go, run around the back. But if I see anyone, anyone stop, get a sip of that thing. More. And you're literally running past the drinking fountain going, no, and just running.
And you wanted that water so bad.
There was always a strategy They never brought any water out onto the field, but at some point they'd break you for water, like go, but everyone's back in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so the strategy was, do you sprint to the drinking fountain and try to
out of wind?
You guys have never heard the sound of water being inhaled, not drank. Inhale, like just sucking it up is like they're out of wind and they're sucking it. Or do you stand in back, get your shot at the drinking fountain, but that whistle may blow before you get.
It's too high a risk. It was always a gamble. What I saw too was
he's hanging on to my chin strap is what Mr. Burr and Mr.
Look at that. That's
Podley
a great picture.
Are doing.
That's
a right?
Great picture.
The Sun Valley Falcons and Mr. Burr, the head coach, is like sort of not yelling at me, but he's telling me, hey, this is what we're doing on defense, and go back in there and do it, or whatever it is.
And I don't know what it was about the men of that generation, but he was probably 31 years old. Your coach, and he looked like a 50-year-old.
57, yeah. Yeah, we had. It was great. No coaches. I'm trying to think. Out of a grand total of like 51 coaches I've had, football, 3 of them were nice. You know, the rest were just fucking angry and scary and spit tobacco at you and throw.
They'd use the practice as their personal therapy. It was cheap therapy for them. Just get scream therapy.
The guy from L.A. Valley Junior College liked to reach for his dip. And he'd throw it at you.
Oh, like a fatty? Just pull it out?
Yeah, just throw it at you. Right. So he was like an old-time gunslinger where it's like, you know, hey, Marshall, the Dillon boys are in town. You see his hands start sliding down slowly and undo the holster strap, right? See his hands start moving up. Carolla, you don't know the difference between a gap 8 and a 6'1", now do you? And you see his hand starts creeping up, and you're like, fuck, he's going for the dip. He's going for the dip. The idea that guy could throw dip at you.
Oh, yeah.
And that was no problemo.
I had one coach who had been shot through both legs in Vietnam.
Oh, boy.
And he didn't tolerate much. He really didn't tolerate much.
Well, you know, the thing that's funny is you go from football coaches and getting yelled at the whole time. You go to the Marines, you get a DI. I go on a construction site, I get a foreman. Right. And that's your DI.
For sure.
For on a construction site. And those guys are the same dudes.
Yeah.
This guy was on a mine sweep in Vietnam.
Oh
Mike
gosh.
Stramat. He was angry all the fucking time. Right. And he took it out on you. But I don't know. I got used to it.
Yeah.
And I also knew they were trying to make you better. Because now I realize when I start talking to my kids and they just be like, the volleyball coach is mean. I'll go, what do you mean mean?
Yeah.
He's just yelling all the time. I go, what do you think he's trying to do? Mean. Yeah. You know, it's like he's not in the business of being mean. He's trying to win games. So
he's seeing a deficiency in your performance.
Right. You're perceiving it as meanie.
Yeah.
I never perceived it as mean. I perceived it as they wanted to win.
I don't know, maybe I was coachable. I could receive a lesson. I might not like it. I didn't like to be shamed and I didn't like to be embarrassed. Nobody does. But the coaches were pretty good about spreading it around.
Yes.
Everybody was going to get theirs at some point, right? You just didn't. I hated the days when it was my turn. But okay, if I screwed up, but it also made me, you know, as a young person, your mind drifts. Some of those lessons are boring when they're running through plays or whatever. It's hard to stay focused all the time. But, you know, you get yelled at enough by either a sergeant instructor or a coach, you know, your focus goes up a little bit. You pay a little more attention.
Yeah, and you tend not to make the same mistakes over and over again.
That's right.
Especially if the deal is you're running laps. If you make the mistake, and by the way, you're not running laps. The whole team's running laps. But you can thank Mr. Riggle, gentlemen. Make sure and thank Mr. Riggle on that lap because that's why you're running laps.
It's great, and that's the thing too. Like shame like that.
Oh, good.
It works.
I fucking knew
it works. But they somewhere along the way. With these, you know, I can point fingers at a lot of people that I think are the culprits, but shame has been removed from the toolbox of teaching.
Yes, and it became it's kind of an interesting thing. I think it's a sort of shift from the masculine to the feminine in that like I distinctly remember trying to teach my son when he was probably about 9. And I was saying to him, like, I'm going to teach you how to do a proper push-up. Like I said, 9, could have been 10. And I sort of had him in the living room, and I was kind of going to put your hands about shoulder length and whatever. Mm-hmm. And he was kind of, I don't know if he was fucking with me, but he was kind of not doing it the way I was telling him to do it, you know? And he was being a little passive-aggressive, which isn't his personality at all. He's super easy and whatever. But I was like, all right. Now, his arm would go out. I'd go, no, put it. I think I took a piece of tape or something. I put it on the ground. I put another, and I go, put your hands on the tape. And he'd put them wider. And I'd go, what are you doing? Yeah. On the tape. Let's go. You know, and then at some point, my wife, ex-wife, but my wife at the time, she like came back. She's like, well, what are you yelling about or something? I said, I'm trying to teach him to do a proper push-up, but he's not cooperating, you know? And he's like, I don't know what to do. Like he knew he had an ally, you know? And she's like, why you're upsetting him, you know? And he knew like immediately like, oh, this is my out. This is my out. And he's going, I don't know. He keeps yelling at me. And I'm like, I'm not yelling. I'm trying to teach. And she's like, come here, leave him alone. And they like left the room. And I'm like, okay. Mission accomplished. But it's a
that out. You can't have that out all the time.
Right, but it's the feminine out. And in the past, we had roles. Mm-hmm. And we said, listen, I'm going to teach your boy how to do a push-up. Why don't you get in the kitchen and make something to eat? When we're done, we're going to want to eat. Yeah. But we decided you can no longer do that. Mm-hmm. So now they've wandered out, and they've assumed both roles. Yeah. And that's not good. It's not good for young boys.
So my grandfather, we have a farm in our family. So my grandfather and my dad and myself, you know, we all worked the farm. I still do to this day. But when I was young, I couldn't wait until I got to go with Dad out into the fields. Mm-hmm. Or out, whatever project they were doing. I don't know, fixing fence, you know, tagging cattle, checking crops, cutting milkweed, whatever the chore was of the day. I just wanted to go with Dad. I wanted to go with Dad. Finally got to go. Big enough to go with Dad. 9 years old, something like that. Dad worked for 12 hours out there.
Yeah.
I hated it.
Yeah.
I was done after 2.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I was done.
Mm-hmm.
But Dad said, this is the deal. You're out here with the men today. This is what we're going to do. Eventually, about hour 4, he would take mercy and let me go sit in the truck, but that was about as good as it got for me. And then I'd have to come back out after an hour or so and get back to work or whatever. But I realized how much this sucks, But I didn't get an out. I didn't have anybody come in and say, well, let him come with us to the water slide. Let him come with us to the,
You will take that out. Yeah. Immediately.
I would have taken it in a heartbeat. If my mom had showed up and gave me the out, I would have taken it at that age. But because I didn't have the out, you kind of get a callous for it. You kind of say, oh, this is the standard.
You had a David Koechner, I think, story in the book. I had a weird, let me tell you what happened with me and Koechner like 3 weeks ago. I don't think I mentioned it on the podcast, but I was like, flying home from one of my many, I don't know where, Florida's. I was in D.C. I think it was D.C. Anyway, a lot of 2-show late night, early morning Ubers, 5:30 a.m., whatever. I end up sitting on an airplane. I don't even know what day it is. And I'm like trying to, and I'm in first class. I'm in the very front. And I hear this like kind of guy behind me. It's like, hey. And I turn around, I'm looking sort of through the seats a little like above. I go, yeah. And he goes, who let you into that seat? And I go, I don't know.
It's too early for this? You're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Seat. It's a guy with a full beard and a cowboy hat. Okay. And he goes, who let you get in that seat? And I go, I don't know. I booked it from before. I don't know. I bought the seat.
Yeah.
shouldn't be in that seat. It's first class seat. And I'm like looking at the guy going, what the fuck is going on
Who's talking
here?
who is this?
It's Keckner with a cowboy hat and a beard.
Okay.
And
I didn't know he had a beard.
He has a beard and a cowboy hat, and I can't process.
Right.
I cannot process it at that hour of the morning. What we're talking about. But anyway, it was Keckner, and we had a nice talk all the way back to L.A.
Good.
But good dude.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
Yeah. He's salt of the earth. He's a hardworking man.
Well, he comes from rural America, too.
Yeah, he comes from Tipton, Missouri, which is I know that town well because our family farm is not far from it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, between Booneville and Tipton, Highway 50 and goes through Tipton, and Highway 5 connects. There's a junction called 5 and 50. It's right in the middle of Tipton. And there's a burger joint there. I've been going to my whole life since I was a kid. And then our farm is kind of up towards Booneville, 15, 20 miles away. So,
and what did he do? Was he one of your first coaches?
He was kind of a
improv.
He was just I would say a mentor in a way, because he was so. I knew him through a friend. That's it. I didn't know him at all, but through a friend, he knew I was in. My friend knew I was in New York, and. She said, "Well, you ought to talk to Dave. He just got off Saturday Night Live. He just did a year there. He does improv in Chicago, and he did all this stuff. And I figured he'd been on SNL. The guy's pretty dang good. So he was really gracious to me in the fact that he didn't know me from a hole in the wall. It's one of these, you get a call from somebody, and it's like, I'm friends with so and so, and wondering if I could have a coffee with you. And he said yes, and it was in New York, and so we went and had coffee, and he took the time to kind of let me tell my story. Like, I'm trying real hard, and I don't know what to do, and what do you suggest? And I'm taking class, and I just tried stand-up, and I hated it. It's not what I thought it would be. And he was like, well, let's figure this out. And he kind of said, well, I've got some friends who just moved here, Amy Poehler and Matt Besser and Matt Walsh and Ian Roberts, and they're kind of the UCB from Chicago, and they're doing long-form improv, and you might like it. Check the show out and tell them I sent you. And so he got me pointed in that direction. And then when I went to UCB, I really enjoyed what they were doing. Mm-hmm. And then took all their classes and went through, ended up teaching there and doing the whole thing. And then eventually came back to stand-up. Mm-hmm. Because I started stand-up, I hated it. Mm-hmm. I wasn't any good at it. I didn't like anything about it. Went to improv, loved it, got confidence on stage, and then came back to stand-up later.
That's so weird, because you and I have some of the same, quite a bit of the same trajectory. Because I started off playing football and then construction, but Marines, not that different. And then tried to do stand-up, deemed myself not good at it, and didn't feel like it was a good fit. I just got up there, did it 25 times. I was like, this is not your best work. Like, you're not where you're supposed to be with this. And then went from that to the Groundlings, and then got to the Groundlings. I was like, oh, this feels more like where you're supposed to be. Yeah. Went all the way through that, and then got back into stand-up later.
That's pretty much the exact same thing I did.
Right.
When I first did the stand-up, I literally I didn't know where to begin. I was in the Marines, and I got myself to New York, and I said, okay, I'm going to start chasing this dream. And I literally went to a stand-up club in my neighborhood on the Upper East Side, Comic Strip Live. Mm-hmm. And in the window, it said classes. Mm-hmm. So I was like, this is where it starts. Mm-hmm. So I walked in and took the classes, 8 weeks. The guy hated teaching. He was over it. You know? He's like 3 jokes per minute. Set up punch. I was like, but Eddie Murphy tells stories, and that's not 3 jokes per minute. And he's like, you're not Eddie Murphy. Right. So I hated it. I got up and did 5 minutes of garbage. Right. But going through the UCB, it gave me so much more confidence. Then when I got on The Daily Show, John Oliver, I was sharing an office with him. He was a pure stand-up. Very talented stand-up. And
does he do stand-up anymore?
I think, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think he does. I don't know the volume that he does it, but he's one of those guys who he can do it without even trying. Like, he can do a whole set of just talking to the crowd.
I'm trying to think. I can't see. I'm picturing him doing stand-up, and I'm not picturing it. I don't know where it ends up.
I just remember he was prolific because he was a working man when it came to stand-up. Mm-hmm. And he would do the work every night. And so I used to say, well, come down to UCB and do monologues for the Ass Cat show, you know. And he would, because he can, you know, somebody can give him a suggestion. He can tell a funny story. He knows his way around. But then he was like, all right, you got to come do stand-up with me. And I was like, I don't know. You know, I don't know if I want to go back to that. I'm not any good at it. I don't have anything. And then he was gracious with me. He said, all right, look, because New York's great. New York is great. You can get in 5 mics a night without even batting an eye.
I don't know gay slang, but keep going.
5 microphones. 5 microphones a night.
Microphones a night. We were talking about Mike August earlier. I just you understand.
You can get in 5 microphones a night, which, you know, it's so hard to do here in LA, I've found, living out in the burbs. But it was great because we'd leave the Daily Show, we'd jump in a cab, and we would go Piano Room, Slipper Room, UCB, Stand Up New York, Comic Strip Live. You could hit all these
How much
places.
time? Short
And I'd get up.
right?
I'd get up and I would do 3 to 5 minutes. And then that would be it. I was doing it the first place. And by the end of the night, after 4 or 5 microphones.
Yeah, right, sorry. Yeah. I got it now.
Okay, well, I just want to.
Now. It's New York. You
But
know,
by
you're
the end
hanging around with your
by the
comedy
end of the
buddies.
night,
Marines.
I'd have a minute worth of material. You know?
Right.
Like that would be decent. That'd be good.
Right, because you're working it out.
Yeah, because he was gracious with me. He would say, because I didn't have a skill set, and that world kind of bothered me. So I was a little agitated when we'd go to do these things.
Yeah.
And I'd kind of get an attitude, and I'd get all pissy and fussy about it, you know. And so he'd say, all right, look, Jesus Christ, calm down. He goes, do you have a funny story at all? I was like, yeah, I got a funny story. He goes, just tell me the story. Just tell me your story. Get up on stage and tell the story. I go, it'll take 2 minutes. He goes, great, that's it. Tell the story. So I got up and I told the story. Well, as I told the story, I embellished. I heighten things. I exaggerate things like we do in comedy. Turns into a 3-minute story, right? At the end of it, we got in the cab, head to the next place. He's like, man, they were laughing hard at this.
Right.
Big silence here. They loved this part. You know, have you ever thought about maybe explaining what that looked like? And Oh, yeah. So we get to the next place. And I would explain more in detail, maybe embellish that and talk about and find new things to fill out the story. And by the end of the night, I felt like I had a chunk of material.
Yeah.
And all I had to do was, so then the next time we'd go out, I'd try a new chunk or a new story or a new thing and just work it that night. And I mean, I was able to build, a 50-minute set probably in, 3 to 6 months, which it's pretty good.
No, it's real good, but that's a real commitment, like working all day and then going out and blowing 5 guys named Mike. doing the 5. I mean, I know, like, I talk to comedians that do that all the time. It just feels like so much.
It is.
So much
Well, that's
work.
why I had the one set.
Right.
And I toured it. And I did half of it on a Comedy Central special, and then I toured it for a long time. And then it was time to build a new set.
Right.
And then I got Fox NFL, and that was it. Then I was like, well, the money I make there is the money I'd make out killing myself on the road. Right. So we're good. So I just stopped. So I haven't done it forever, but it always nags at me because I do think about, I kind of would like to build a set because there's part of me that likes to. I do. There's nothing better than, and I'm sure you're experiencing it now when you get out there and you're having a great night. The audience is great. You're having fun. They're having fun. There's something special about that.
Tell me about John Oliver. If he's doing sets or like has a Hulu special or something, because I'm very curious about that.
I saw him and Seth Meyers in Vegas at a New Year's Eve show.
He just played the Met in Philly, so we see. Yeah,
and it was just a couple years ago, so I know he's still. And he's
it's
one
weird.
of those.
I've never. You cross paths with people. You play the
same
Vic
venues.
Theater, and they go, "Hey, John, this guy was just here," and that'll happen inevitably.
Yeah.
And that's never happened. But anyway, we don't need to get mired in that. The thing about stand-up, like being a good stand-up, is they can't really take it away from you. and it's not reliant on the corporate whatever, or Disney's pissed off because you crossed the line, or somebody pulled an old tweet of yours and we got an issue now over at ESPN. There's none of that. It's just kind of you and yours in the audience. And Louis C.K. was in here a couple of weeks back. It's like, you can't cancel him. They tried, but he can't, because he has this stand-up thing. And I
think it's the purest form. Mm-hmm. It's the purest art form in the world. It's you, a microphone, and an audience. There's no director. There's no producer. You're the writer.
Right.
And you're in the moment. It's so present.
Yeah, that's the more philosophical way of looking at it. I'm just looking at it like sort of pragmatically, like in terms of you can age out of movie business and you can age out of TV, and you can or you can get whatever, piss too many people off or get on the wrong side of whatever, COVID or something like that. Yeah. But stand-up's just stand-up. And in a weird way, it's sort of, it's the way I felt about being a good carpenter. When you're a good carpenter, you just work. Yeah. No one cares who you know or what your politics are. You just work. They always need good carpenters. There's never any down economy or anything with good carpenters. You just will work, and you'll never stop working. And you don't need to advertise, and you don't need to have cards or flyers made up, or magnetic signs for the side of your truck or anything. It's just your phone rings, and someone's got another job, and they want you. And you need to tell them, like, I'm kind of busy. How about you use this other? They go, no, I'll wait. I heard. I want to get with you. That's right. And so it's like you have your toolbox, you have your skill set, and you really can't be canceled. Yeah. And you can always make a living. And in a way, that's what stand-up is. The movies, TV, it comes and goes, topsy-turvy, whatever, here today, gone tomorrow, or what have you. But stand-up is that toolbox in that skill.
It's so funny. I'm sitting here listening to you, nodding my head going, God dang it, I got to get back in this. I want to get back in this. You're lighting the fire.
Into carpentry.
You're lighting the but yeah, you are lighting the fire, man. And I don't know if you saw, did you ever see Jerry Seinfeld's Comedian?
Yeah.
I saw that in the theater. I immediately went out and bought the DVD. That's how old I am, but I bought the DVD, and now I have it on my iPad. Whenever I watch that thing, it's like watching Rocky for me. I get so motivated. I'm like,
Shadowbox.
I do. All of a sudden, I'm like, God dang it, I am not working hard enough. I got to do the work. Get out there. No excuses. Right. I get that fever again.
Right.
You just got that fever going in me right now. It's really awesome. That feels good.
I did okay slang. Fever Mike.
Fever Mike. It's a lot of New York terms. A lot of New York terms.
Evidently. I've not been to the parade, so I really don't know. I'm from North Hollywood. I'm a humble carpenter. John Oliver's going to be at the Beacon in New York City this weekend. I apologize to the Oliver family because he evidently is playing everywhere, and I somehow miss it. Maybe is it that I don't see a special on Netflix or something with him, or HBO or whatever? Is that the reason I'm this way?
Maybe. I mean, I've always known him as a very consistent stand-up, and maybe he's staying the East Coast or New York, but he keeps that muscle toned.
And so, how did you get on to the Daily Show?
I had to audition, just like everybody else. Went through the meat grinder, and I thought I didn't get it, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. And here's the interesting thing about that was I was broke. I was down and out, and I had been let go from Saturday Night Live. There had been a year since I had been let go. I'd been doing some reserve drills. I was in command and staff college down at Miramar, on the weekends, and I was trying to find work wherever I could. I got my buddy and I, Rob Riggle, we got a deal to write a pilot for NBC.
Oh, Rob, yeah.
We wrote that pilot, didn't get picked up. We weren't even going to star in it. We just wrote the pilot for him.
Right.
But I was piecing together work. Mm-hmm. But I had a wife and a daughter, a newborn daughter, and I felt the heavy hand of responsibility. And I was hooking and jabbing. But we were running out of money, and I was running out of options, and I just didn't know what was going on as far as where the money was going to come from. So I got this audition. I had just moved the family out here to LA, and I got an audition for The Daily Show. So I'm like, sure. I was taking any audition I could. Went in. I did well enough. They were like, John wants to have you in the studio to read with him. So I thought, okay, great. But it was that it was a shot clock. I was down to my last couple seconds, and had I not gotten The Daily Show, I had a plan in place to go back on active duty, which was at the height of the Iraq War. It was 2006, and they were getting ready to do the surge, and they needed bodies. I was going to be picked up very quickly. Very easily.
Who's surge? I don't know. Okay.
No. The
Mike Surge.
No, you've heard. I know you've heard of these things. The military surge.
Surge is a name of a guy who doesn't wear an undershirt under like a blazer.
Yes, that's true.
Anyway,
Cabana boy.
Yeah.
But had I not gotten the Daily Show, I had a plan to go back on active duty. And so when I blew the audition, I thought I blew the audition. I actually stepped out onto the sidewalk. It was in the summer. I remember it was hot as hell in New York. And I had a flip phone. And I called my wife at the time. I called her and I just said, hey, I'm sorry. I think I blew it. But don't panic. Don't worry. We're not going to be out in the street. We're not going to be, you don't have to move in with our parents. We're going to be fine. I'm going to go back on active duty. We're going to get medical coverage. We're going to get, a paycheck on the 1st and the 15th.
Sure.
And we're going to be okay. So don't worry. Okay. Don't panic. Everybody's going to be fine. And then they gave me the job, so I didn't have to do it.
It reminded me of a story I haven't told in a million years, which was when I got Loveline, the TV show, I was in New York doing with Kevin and Bean, Morning, KROQ, and Jimmy. And Jimmy and I used to look at going to New York. New York, I'm from North Hollywood, and I never got any further than, like, let's say Van Nuys or Reseda, in terms of range, because we didn't have cars that made it. They would overheat, like old Dodge Darts and VW Squarebacks and stuff. It's like I was limited to like a 4.5 mile radius of my house, like as far as I could ride a Huffy. And then like everyone had a junker car, no range, and then no one had any money, but no one had credit cards. No one in my family owned a credit card, so you couldn't get airline tickets. You just couldn't do normal things, So I'd never been anywhere, and I was 30, and Kevin and Bean were going to New York for the MTV Music Awards, and they're going to be there all week, and we're going to broadcast from the Television and Radio Museum in New York City, and it was somehow we sort of finagled them into getting me to go along. I was kind of an ancillary character, but Jimmy volleyed, he rallied hard to get me to go. And it was a lot like, we stayed in a crappy hotel and everything. We flew Tower Air. It doesn't exist. You have to take by the way, if you have to take a bus to get on a plane, it's like saying, first you have to take a donkey to the bus, then the bus will take you to the plane.
They had to move a chicken cage so you can sit
literally
down.
Taking a bus because they didn't have a terminal. They just had this plane parked in the middle. And we went. I think we went one year. We went like 94. And then we used to just count down the days. And Jimmy, who spent his youth in New York, just sort of declared himself the sort of ambassador of New York, because I knew zero and he knew not that much, but I'm from North Hollywood, and like, we're going to go here, then we're going to go there, and I'm going to introduce you to my uncle who's in Brooklyn, and we're going to eat, and then we're going to Little Italy. Yeah. All we did was like real touristy shit, we're going to get gelato and in Little Italy. But it was such a big deal for us just to be gone and in New York and working and at the Television and Radio Museum of all places in middle of Manhattan. And Jimmy and I were in love, we'd go out. We're going out for beers at Dr. Jekyll's or Mr. Hyde's or whatever tonight. It's going to be awesome. God damn, it's going to be great. And I think the second year, we'd have it marked on the calendar. And it'd even be like, we would leave on Friday, not like on Sunday. We'd leave on Friday so we could get an extra 2 days in there before we had to come back, and it would be glorious, you know. And I got there, and I think I've been there for like a day, and the phone rang, and it was like, we got the Loveline audition. We need you to come back. And I was like, no, I'm not.
I have a plan.
I'm not going to get
this doesn't match my plan.
I don't get any auditions. I'm no good with auditions. It's Loveline, the TV show. I go, it's not. I'm going to fly back. I'm going to screw the pooch on the audition. And then I'm going to be stuck back in L.A. in my apartment because New York, KROQ's not flying me back.
Right.
Again, and neither are you guys.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy's just going to be there without me.
Yeah.
And we want no MTV Awards, no museum, no Mr. Hyde's, Dr. Jekyll's. No, I don't want to do it. And they're like, you got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to do it, Dr. Drew. It was all Dr. Drew said, I don't know, that guy, get that guy. Because no one else thought of me.
They couldn't give you a little cush on the dates? Like you couldn't come in a couple days later?
They're like,
they're killing you, man.
We got to do this tomorrow, man. And I was like, and so I go, it's so funny. I literally go, listen, I'm not good in the interview. I'm not good with the audition. I'm good, you know, for the show, but I'm not good. I've never been good. I get nervous. I get sweaty. It's not going to work. I can't read a cue card. It's not going to work. We need you in person. And so I go, get Mark DiCarlo. And they're like, what? I go, the guy, he hosts Studs. He's going to be great. Studs
You're giving away, lovely. You're giving it away.
Studs is off the air.
Yeah.
It was a big popular show like 2 years ago or whatever. Mark DiCarlo's free. Get him to do it. He's a pro. I don't know. I've never been on TV before. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I'm going to fly back to LA, do the stupid audition for 30 minutes, screw the pooch. You'll say, thank you very much. And I'm going back to my apartment in Toluca Lake with my roommate. Well, these guys are in New York living large.
Yeah, living my dream.
Living my dream. And they go, we're sending a ticket or whatever. You're coming back. So I go back.
Good choice.
And I go there the following morning, and I go to Hollywood Center Studios, and we go to the sound stage. And the sound stage, there's no windows in the sound. It's completely black, you know, but it's lit up, you know. And they piece together a little makeshift stage. They put a telephone and a desk, a folding chair, and they go, hey, you and Drew sit there, and we'll just do calls like from the back, and you just answer how you would answer a question or something. And so me and Drew are doing it, and I'm doing pretty good because I grew up listening to Loveline. And Drew never worked with me, but I knew Drew because I was a KROQ fan, and I would listen to Loveline. I built the gym at night. I would just listen to Loveline all night and have my answers worked out, you know.
What year is this?
This is 95 now, it must have been. And so I was kind of grooving with it just because I was totally familiar with the format from listening to the radio show for 10 years.
That helps.
And I kind of knew Drew. Like I felt like, and so I ended up being like in a weird way, we're old partners, except for he never met me, but I knew him and I knew how he would do this. So it went good.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, this has gone pretty good, feeling pretty good. It was all improv, so I was like, I'm good with the improv.
Love that. I love when you don't have to do a lot of prep. You're just you're yourself and you're nailing it. Yeah.
Right. And I was grooving and was feeling good. Yeah. And so they finally after, a half hour, they call, they go, hey man, that was some good stuff. And I go, yeah, thanks. I felt pretty good. Yeah, well, nice job. I know you'll be hearing from us. We only got about a day. We got to turn this thing around because they flew me out. They didn't have any time. But good job, Adam. And you can just see your way out, to the parking lot. And then they always do this when they go, Drew, hang behind for a second. Just got a couple technical questions for you. But Adam, good job, buddy. You'll be hearing from us. And I start feeling my way to get out to the door because it's all black in the place. It's not that light. And it's like the middle of the day, Southern California. And I go to push the door open to leave. and the door pulls itself open. Like somebody was literally opening it as I was reaching to push it. So I barely touched the door, and the door swings open, and it's all light. It's all just daylight.
Yeah, blinding.
Blinding.
Yeah.
And when I see the silhouette of a guy standing there, and I literally like bump into him and go, "Oh, sorry, man." He goes, "Hey, man, it's Mark DiCarlo." It's fucking Mark DiCarlo. And they told Drew had to hang back for some paperwork or something. But those saying is Adam hit the bricks.
Hit the bricks because we got another one coming in.
We got DiCarlo coming in. And I went to the parking lot and I sat in my car and like, Jesus Christ, I'm the one who...
They didn't even know about DiCarlo. They didn't know about Mark until DiCarlo. I turned him on to him.
Yes. I pitched him Mark DiCarlo. So then I drove home.
But you nailed it.
Right, but I've never been on TV before. And Mark DiCarlo was on Studs, and Studs was a big syndicated late night.
You felt like he had a little more cachet?
Well, Loveline at the time was going to be a syndicated late night love show.
Okay.
It wasn't on MTV. It was a syndicated show originally.
Yeah.
So at that time, Adam Carolla was a carpenter boxing coach, basically, who has zero anytime late night, any time of the day, camera, anything. Mark DiCarlo hosted a syndicated late night love show already called Studs, which was very popular.
Got it.
So why wouldn't they go with that guy?
Because you're that good. That's why.
Well, yeah, but how's he going to do? I don't know how. So I go, I like get back to my apartment. My roommate's like, how'd it go? I was like, it went good, but now there's this whole DiCarlo situation that I was unaware. I didn't really see that one coming.
How long before you found out?
I must have found out. They must have told me the next day or something like that because they were in a hurry. And I remember it very clearly where I was because I remember it's when my car was destroyed because my car was parked out on the street in front of my apartment. And I was on the first floor on the balcony and I was talking to Jimmy, who was in New York still. And I was like, how'd it go? How'd the audition go? How'd it go? I said, I went pretty good. And then at some point, there was a giant crashing noise and he was on the phone. He goes, what was that? And I go, that was my car being destroyed. And he goes, no, seriously, what was that? I go, that was my car being destroyed. A full-size Ford pickup with a drunk dude. Let me tell you how hard he sideswiped it. He hit the car and went in onto the curb and was facing me on the lawn. He didn't even sideswipe it and carry him off. He went so hard right, he went over the curb, and my car bounced out into the middle of the street. And
drunk?
I'm going to go with drunk. And then he took off with 2 pop tires.
Hit and run?
It was crazy. It was crazy. And I remember Jimmy didn't believe me. I go, I should probably wrap up. And he goes, what? He goes, your car. I go, my car was just stolen. He goes, where's your reaction? I was like, I'm not.
You're taking it very well.
Later on in the same apartment, after we cleared like 95% of the country with Loveline as a syndicated show, they pulled the plug at the very last second. We went to NAPTY, we went to the conventions, we did everything. We're ready to launch. And they called me. Oh my God, it's so funny. It was a year later. And they were going to New York again for the MTV Awards. Jimmy and Kevin and Bean. And this time I couldn't go because I had got a TV show. Yeah. So like, Jimmy's like, we're going in 2 weeks or whatever. And I was like, man, I wish I could be there. But now we got a taping schedule and stuff. But I was envious of him.
Sure.
Because he got to go.
You remember the good times.
Yeah.
I remember the good times.
So I was sitting in the same apartment and like the phone rang and they're like, Adam. I'm like, yeah, we cleared the show and 95% of the market and everything. Yeah. We were supposed to start on Monday or whatever. Yeah. The show got canceled. They pulled the plug. There's not going to be any show. And I go, we're not doing the show? And he goes, no. And I go, oh, okay, good. I got to call Jimmy. I got to get plane tickets. And the person went, listen, seriously, I'm not joking. The show's canceled. I go, no, I heard you. I heard you. And I hung up the phone.
I got to go. I got to make a quick call.
And I go, hey, Jimmy, good news. The show's canceled. And
I'm back in.
I'm back in. We're going to be at Dr. Hyde's. Mr. Jekyll's.
Yeah.
This is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Cannolis.
Those big 22-ounce beers we like.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I was so excited the show got canceled. So I could
So you could get back to the good times.
Get back to the good
God,
times.
that's awesome. Do you remember the call you
It got picked up a year later by MTV. That's what.
So when you got the call, though, saying you got the gig, do you remember where you were? You said when you got it. Do you remember how it felt? Do you remember that feeling?
I didn't have a cell phone, so when you did pre-cell phone, you always knew where you were. Your fucking apartment
You're
is where you
landlocked.
were.
Yeah.
I wasn't like Dan Tana in my 55 Thunderbird going down the strip. Yeah, B, what do we got? No, I was always home. Otherwise, I missed the call.
Yeah.
So I was in my apartment
that
until
feeling,
Lake.
though, is powerful. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a powerful feeling. It's like the first real validation you ever get that you're like, oh, I am doing what I think I should be doing.
Yeah, and it's also it's a kind of a marriage, and this is a third date or something. It's all new, everything, nothing could go wrong. You don't know the person.
You don't know any better.
You don't know any better. It's just it's all kind of a climb, and there's kind of a difference between climbing and what's around the next corner. And then a kind of a four corners protect the lead. Let's not slide back down there.
Right. You don't want to go backward.
Right. And so you get to a point in your career where you're actually going, I don't want to go backward, not I want to ascend, you know? And people go, well, that's a shitty attitude. But it's
like a prevent defense. I always get frustrated when you watch a prevent defense.
It never works.
It never works. And you're like, well, don't do that. Just, do a blitz. Do something. Put the pressure on. Like, don't go into this defensive mode because the opponent will capitalize. They will get the initiative. You got to play to win till the 0-0-0 on the clock.
Yeah, I agree. But everything is sort of new and exciting and has a bunch of possibilities attached to it.
Always.
And there's that feeling when it's early and you're starting something off, and then there's later, when it's like a sort of status quo, and then there becomes a kind of hang on thing where it's like, look, I just want to make as much money this year as I made last year. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not looking for a raise.
Right.
There's a kind of a hang on mode, and I think it's I think it's that way for a lot of jobs. You know what I mean?
That's it too. There's a progression, and it comes in waves. Whether you're a corporate guy or whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're in the arts,
right.
I do think there is a wave, and when you're ascending and you're having all these great things happen, you think, oh well, this is how it's going to be.
Right.
And then when it goes the other way, you're like, wait a minute. Then you're just trying to put the brakes on everything. You're trying to protect what you got, and then it comes back, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, okay, we're back. Okay, now I found my rhythm again, but what I think I'm learning still is, it's a wave, and it keeps coming and going and coming and going and coming and going, and you got to be smart about it so you can try to minimize that, so you can kind of keep it more level, more steady. I'd rather have the slower, steady ascend than the waves, but sometimes you can't control that,
No, but you can't control a drunk driver T-boning you either at an intersection,
Completely.
So you might as well just get in the car.
Yeah, I think that's what maybe is bothering our society. Everybody wants to control things, and a lot of things are not in their control.
There is a freedom to sort of letting a lot of stuff go.
Yes.
And there's also a problem with an attempt at control that is, I can tell you from driving race cars and losing control of the race cars, yanking the wheel is not going to help. It's better to relax. You'll survive the accident better if you're relaxed.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And there's a sort of a tense up and pull hard and overcorrect and that kind of stuff. And it's better to let it go. But
Isn't that interesting?
You can't. But it's like telling someone who's about to go up on stage, who's really nervous, have fun out there. You know what I mean? It's like you can't yell at me to relax or have fun.
Yeah. The wisdom's there, but the practicality's not.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is a wiring, and I've realized that for me, the same wiring where I get my car destroyed, but I don't react, and I get my show canceled, but I don't react, is the same. It's the same wiring I have when the car's going backwards on the track, and I'm relaxed.
Yeah.
And I'm not relaxed because I'm not concerned. I'm relaxed because there's nothing I can do.
It's not in your sphere of influence. It's not in your sphere of control at that point.
Yeah, not really. I mean,
I've gotten better. I try to. When I find myself this morning, I'll say this morning I woke up hot under the collar because I just had a stack of things and people that they owed me answers. I need to know this. I need to know this. Got to get this done. I got to get this done. And I was, I could feel myself nodding up.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to have a conversation with myself where I was like, calm down.
Mm-hmm.
Things will get done. You'll get the call. You'll get the calls you need.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get the emails back you need.
Mm-hmm.
You've already sent out. You've done your part.
Mm-hmm.
So just take some breaths and don't be hard to be around.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can be hard to be around if I allow myself to nod up and be like, God damn it, why didn't this person call me? And then when they do call, I'm like, well, hello.
Right.
And I have an attitude, so finding, I think that maybe that's a maturation process too, that you go through where you do have to learn to let go on some level. You have to develop your own tools, your own tool set for that.
In the book, you were talking about your parents and bullying and sort of teaching a lesson for you, which you always hear the story in the lesson about the guy standing up for himself, but you never really hear the story about him getting his ass kicked and having to limp home. But it always seems to be the advice back. The dads were like, you got to learn to put your dukes up and whatever. But your story with that would be interesting to me.
Yeah, well, that is true. The hero's story, right, is like the bullies. You stand up to the bully and then you triumph. 9 times out of 10, you stand up to the bully, you take a beating. You get an ass whooping. You get some sort of shame. It's not fun. It's not cool. But what I have found is the times when I had to stand up to someone that was bigger or scarier than me, it didn't go well necessarily in a physical sense sometimes, but my dad always, what his big thing was, take the beating, but give it everything you got, and that way the bully will know this is not an easy mark.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to continue to pick on this guy, I can plan on a full day's work.
Yeah.
And so then they go away. They do go away. Even if they beat your ass, they will generally go away.
Well, bullies are like criminals in that they will just go to where
they'll feed on weakness.
Yeah, they got to break in, and that house is a deadbolt, and yours just has a privacy knob. Then they'll just go to the privacy knob and kick that door in.
Path of least resistance.
Yeah, it's kind of that's their business.
Yeah,
and so Andrew over there was, I think his girlfriend the guy was just going to go steal her catalytic converter, and they just looked under there, and they had that little cage welded on there, and the guy went to the next car. Which is what? Now, he could defeat the cage if he wanted, but why? There's another car.
Right, just right down there.
Right, and there's another kid in the 7th grade to beat on.
That's right.
And this guy's work,
That's
and it's most of life. I tell everyone, when I had a car and I lived in Hollywood, and the only thing I had to my name was a Sony digital stereo in my truck, I just painted it brown. And everyone's like, why? And I was like, who's going to steal a brown stereo? And they're like,
genius.
How's that prevent someone from stealing? I go, they can't sell it.
Because they got choices. They walk down the block.
They go to the next car.
They go to the next car.
If everybody painted their stereo brown, then maybe they'd steal mine. Or if there were no other cars.
Yeah.
As long as there's another car with a Sony stereo that's not painted brown, then I don't have to worry.
It's return on investment.
Right.
It's return on investment. If a criminal's going to do a criminal act or a bully's going to decide to go to Fist City, that's a investment.
Again, with the Fist City, I don't know the guy. I don't know how many times I can tell you. I didn't grow up in New York. I don't know where Fist City is. I can only imagine. But you tell your 5 Mike buddies about Fist City. The book. It's Grit, Spit, and Never Quit.
I walk into these. How am I
walk
walking?
into
I
Fist
walk
City.
into all of them.
Hims. Hair loss doesn't fix itself. And the earlier you act, the better. Hims makes starting simple with a 100% online process and personalized treatment plans delivered straight to you. I recently signed up. The simplest thing ever. Just did it in the car, on the phone. Just had 5 minutes. Boom. Done. Couple quick questions. They have flexible subscription options and access to 24/7 provider support. Hims gives you personalized treatment plans that puts your goals first. Trust me, you'll feel a lot better with that hairline right where it should be. These guys are good, and it's so easy now. It's Hims. Right, Dawson?
For simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/Adam. That's hims.com/Adam. For your free online visit, hims.com/Adam. Featured products include compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride.
At Marathon gas stations, every stop is the start of fun, like the awesome fuel savings you're going to get with Marathon Rewards. Join Marathon Rewards today and start earning rewards on every gallon of gas. You can redeem rewards at any time, saving up to $1 per gallon. Well, that adds up. And don't forget, Marathon stations are packed with all the conveniences you need to stock up on, to live life on the go. Marathon, where the fun runs on full. Available at participating Marathon locations. Terms and conditions apply. See marathonrewards.com for details. Legendary comedian Earthquake is in studio. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, my brother, my brother, my brother.
I was interested when I was reading up on you coming in today that you were in the Air Force for years.
9 years.
9 years?
Yes.
9? Is that an odd number to be in the service?
Well, I mean, I wanted to do 20, but the war broke out, so.
Because mostly you hear 4 years, and then I re-up for another 4 years.
Right.
But 9's an odd number.
Well, I re-upped up for another 4, and then I wanted to get out. Then they had the war broke out, and since I loaded missiles, they had us on stop loss. That's the very important people certain if a war break out. That long contract you got, it's a stop loss that you essential that you couldn't get out. So they mandatory extended you.
Because your job is loading up munitions?
Yes, I loaded AIM-9s, AIM-7s on F-15, nuclear weapons on B-52s.
Well, we got to get into that because that's interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I dropped one time, though.
On the ground?
Yeah.
I want to hear about that. Well, B-52, by the way, B-52s have been in use for like 65 years.
Yeah, they perfected.
Incredibly old plane that
they perfect. I mean,
they just never. So you were in charge of loading ordnance on those planes.
Yes.
Always nuclear or not always?
No, conventional. It all depends on the aircraft. F-15s usually didn't have nuclear. B-52s did.
Oh, sure, yeah. Bombers.
Yeah, bombers.
Versus fighters.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? I think I was working on a production once, and we'll circle back to this, but I was looking at one of those rigs that they keep the cameras on with the wheels. Mm-hmm. And if you picture those in Hollywood, you know, you jack them up with your foot, they come up, you let them out, they come back down again. They maneuver. They're totally precision, right?
Right.
So I'm a mechanical guy, so I was just sitting on set, and I was looking at the camera guy, and I said, wow, that's a really intricate rig. It's really interesting. And he goes, guess where they're made? And I just went, Germany. Hello? Like, it's Germany. It's not Mexico. It's not Jamaica. It's Germany. That's who makes that shit. And he goes, and then he goes, yeah, it's made in Germany. I go, of course it's made in Germany. Then he said, you know what they're originally for?
What?
Loading up bombs. If you picture one of those camera dollies with the jig and the thing that scissors up and lifts the thing from the ground all the way back, you go, oh, yeah, that's what Germans used to put bombs in airplanes in World War II.
Yeah, we had, there was jammers for us, you know, the rack that goes into the belly of the B-52.
That is incredible. By the way, they're going to operate the B-52s through 2050, and they were started in the 50s.
Yeah, it's an effective aircraft.
And where were you based?
Barksdale Air Force Base, that's in Shreveport, Louisiana. Bossier City, Eglin Air Force Base, when I worked on F-15s, and Okinawa, Japan.
Oh, you went to Okinawa?
Yeah, I was there for 2.5 years.
How was Okinawa?
It was hard because there wasn't that many women, so you had to compete.
Yeah.
It's like 500 men to every one woman. Competition was fierce.
Yeah, that's where the sense of humor comes in.
Yeah, you get turned down. You can have an unattractive woman and nobody held it against you.
Yeah, because of the sheer numbers.
Yes.
It'd be like being in a male prison and getting your hands on a woman. No one would hold that against you.
But we used to do like Fantasy Island. We used to catch the unattractive women when they first landed on the island before they found out they was attractive where they was at.
You're saying when they came in from the States.
Yes.
They were in the service?
Yeah. We used to be me and my friends used to be the welcome committee.
Right.
And we get them before, you know.
Because back in the States, they were a 3 or a 4.
Yeah.
But on Okinawa, there were 8s and 9s.
15.
Well, I don't know if it goes higher than 10. But,
yeah, it goes 15.
All right, but they go high.
Yeah.
And at some point, it would dawn on them that's what was going on, and you had to get them before they found out.
Yeah, before they got briefed by the other women. They let them know what it was.
Right.
And it's nothing like being turned down by an unattractive woman.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Oh. Yeah.
That's where you learn to drink at.
I did have a time, I remember once at a bar or a club looking at a woman that I sized up as about a 5. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I just need something. A confidence builder. So I'll just go over there and grace her with my appearance. And I just showed up and I just said, mind if I sit down? And she looked up and she went, why? And I went, oh, man, this is bad. I thought this is going to be easy. So now that's on the base at Okinawa.
Right.
What about off the base at Okinawa?
Well, it was back in the day, and Japanese women didn't mess with many black men unless she was Michael Jackson. Mm-hmm. And a lot of brothers dressed up like Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. First of all, you had to overcome the language barrier. Uh-huh. And then, the color barrier part of it. But the only black person that they knew from the States was Michael. And so some brothers come there, get off base, get the jury curl, bring the little curl down the middle, put the shoes on with the white on the top, patent leather, and go down there and dance like Michael in Nago. I forgot the name.
Is it beautiful there?
Yes, it is. Yes, it was very beautiful. Great island.
Does so you're kind of limited to whatever women were on the base, and the numbers were 10 to 1,
500
to 1.
It was fierce.
Yeah, and you're a young virile man.
Yeah,
and 2.5 years is a long time to be somewhere without a lady friend.
Well, I did well.
You did.
Yeah, I mean for the numbers
because you were in the greeting department.
Well, I catch them while their self-esteem was down. Mm-hmm.
So how would it work?
It's like the new recruits come in like Tuesday and Fridays, and you know what time the plane's coming in, and you just sit there and she'll come in there and you're like, hey, how you doing? Welcome to Okinawa. I'm going to show you around. I'm Sergeant Stroman. And she's not used to a good-looking dude like me talking to her like that. And I knew I had about 72 hours before I closed the deal. If I don't close the deal in 72 hours, she'll get a scouting report and find out she can hold out for a better deal.
And how'd the military feel about that if they found out about it? Would you get into trouble?
No, you weren't getting in no trouble. You wasn't making them. You wasn't making women do anything they wanted to do. It's just honey. It was no different. Instead of catching them at the club, the NCO club, you caught them when they first got here. But such police. we had advantage because we went TDY and we was a temporary assignment. We'll go to the Philippines where it was reverse. There was so many women there. You know what I mean? So we'll go there every 3 months. And you go over there, man, and you get 15 women for a bag of oranges.
Really?
Yeah, about $4.
Heck, your oranges.
Yeah, man. You have to learn the word in Filipino. Hindi. I mean, no.
Oh, because they would solicit you.
Yeah, as soon as you get off the base, Hindi, come here. No. They be like, man, gee, I know you want. You're like, oh, no. Hindi.
It was just wide open for sex that way.
Oh, it was beautiful. I had this one chick who was over there. She was half black, half Filipino. One of the most beautiful women, other than my wife, that I have ever seen. And it was like her, of course, her father was a soldier that, impregnated her mother, and then he got orders and left.
Right.
And I ran into her. She was beautiful, but I had to leave her right there and couldn't take her back to the States.
Why not?
Nah, that ain't me.
I had a cousin that was in the military and brought home like the Filipino wife, and she started a prostitution ring like behind his back.
Oh, that's what they do.
Is that what they do?
All of them do? No, what happens is they get over here, and it was the funniest thing in the world. My white friends be like, Quake. I said, what? You just met him, Tom. She does everything my mother does. Plus, give me some pussy. I was like, okay, well, that's a good way. And he only known her for a while, so he'll make her a citizen. He'll marry her, and then he'll bring her back to the States, which we call the world, because the United States is called the world in the military. And soon as she get her citizenship and bring her family over there, she in the NCO club getting the man she really want to be with.
They bring their moms over, right?
Yeah, they bring their family and everything.
That's what this one did.
Yeah.
And before you know it.
And then they put them out. Yeah, you have base housing. And in the military, if you have any problem with your wife, any domestic part of it, what they do is they remove you from the home and allow y'all to go through counseling, and she has the home right then and there.
So they know what they're doing.
Yes, it was a racket.
So how do you go from this? And tell me about the time you dropped the nuke.
Oh, I was that was in Boxdale, Louisiana. I was trying to go see 2 Live Crew, and they had me doing the rotation of ordnance, and I told them I wasn't working today because Luke was coming in. That's when Luke just came out. 2 Live Crew with all them bad women, and my mind wasn't focused. And I was trying to see Luke, and I thought I put the missiles up the right way, and it didn't. And it pulled the rack away, like you said previously, brought it down, and it just popped and hit the ground. And everybody started running. I said, you can't outrun a nuke.
Yeah, you might as well run toward it, make it easier.
I mean, might as well sit down there and pray to God. But,
how big was the nuke?
Ooh, it was a big ton. That was a D-62, about a 2-ton bomb.
About 2 tons?
Yeah.
But they need to arm them, right?
Nukes are one of the most safest ordnance because they have to drop at a certain height
really?
For all the mechanisms to go off and everything. Yeah, it just can't fall. Conventional bombs.
But it like fell and hit the ground?
Yeah.
And bounced around?
Bounced one time. Boom.
2,000. Is it 6 foot long and 2 feet wide or something?
No, it's long. It's my measurement's not that good, but it's huge. It takes the whole Bombay, excuse me, of the B-52. Yeah.
It's incredible how much those planes can lift, weight-wise, is it not?
Yeah.
You know what the craziest visual is when they take one of those M1 Abrams tanks, or 4 of them, and they start loading them up into the back of those C-130s.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're going to take off with a tank, multiple tanks, in the belly of your airplane, and they just take off.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts.
It's very nuts. And it's nuts to need a ride, what we call a hop, and you sitting right beside it.
What have you sat behind
on the side? When you wanted to go, like leave Okinawa and go to the Philippines, you jump on one of the planes that's going over there taking the tanks, and you sign up for it, and you hitch a ride.
I know it's all physics, and I know it works, but sometimes I'm on a Southwest flight, and there's a fat guy sitting next to me, and I'm like, uh-oh, we're in trouble. we're not going to make this. Like that, I couldn't, and that guy's 280 pounds. I couldn't imagine standing. Look, hey, Andrew, look up an M1 Abrams tank. It has to weigh, it's got to be 15 tons. It's got to be 20 tons. What do you think?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm still, in my mind, that fat dude sitting beside you and you being scared.
Well, it's visually, I understand logically, but psychologically, let's see, but approximately 55 to 70 kilograms. I don't know what that is. Between 60 and 70 tons. It's between, okay, a full-size SUV weighs about 6,000 pounds.
Right.
And this is tons. So
right.
It is like flying with 25 SUVs plus in your whatever, and it just lifts right off the ground.
Yeah.
And you sat next to it.
Yeah. And it's strapped down and everything.
Yeah, but
you're just thinking about them women you about to see in the Philippines. You know, you stuck on the PlayStation, you ain't got no women, and you're on your way to the Philippines. You'll fly on the back of a bird.
So you're in a place with very slim pickings.
Slim.
And you're going to a place that's like a golden corral of pussy.
I mean, everywhere. Buffet.
How long's the flight, by the way?
I forgot, but it wasn't that long.
Not that long.
No, it wasn't that long.
Yeah, time flies when you got a boner.
Oh, when you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
And it was affordable.
Because the plane's going anyway.
Right.
And you're just deadheading it on there.
Yeah, you just sign up and it's bank, I forgot the priority, based on your rank or whatever. And once you, like standby, and call your name and you get on there.
So how do you get from doing that to doing comedy?
The war broke out, so I said I didn't want to stay in.
Sorry, which war?
The Gulf War, the first one.
First Gulf War.
Yeah, that one. And I said I can't stay in here. I don't mind practicing for war, but they about to fight for real. And what they was fighting for, I didn't think it was worth it. I wasn't fighting over no oil. I didn't even have a car, so I just said it was time for me to get out. And I just got out and went to Atlanta and opened up my own comedy club.
Oh, you opened up your own comedy club?
Yes.
Most people just start doing open mics and work their way up into featuring or emceeing or something. They don't just open a comedy club.
Well, you do that when the comedy club that was based in there wouldn't give you opportunity.
So what happened? What was the story?
Well, I kept auditioning and was told that this time I actually was going to be going up and opening up for the late Paul Mooney. And
so you don't have any experience before this doing open mics and that kind of stuff?
No, I was still doing comedy around Eglin Air Force Base.
Okay, so you were doing some.
The spot in Tim Wilson and them type of dudes. Just doing those type of thing. And doing a little hosting on Tops and Blues in the military. And when it's time to get out, I said, let me try this out and see what's up. And kept trying to do the comedy clubs there. And the only black club was there was the Comedy Act Theater. And I was doing coconuts and that type of stuff and telling, women, I'm a comedian. They said, when you going to perform at the Comedy Act? Because if you ain't work at the Comedy Act in that city, you wasn't
Comedy Act?
Comedy Act Theater.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Had Robin Harris and everything. It was legendary. It was the top black comedy club. And the owner told me, okay, you be able to work this weekend and open for Paul Mooney. So I told all the women I was trying to sleep with, you can come see me this weekend. And when I came up there, dressed, ready to get on the stage, and I said, what time I go on? He said, you're not on this show. So you told me it was. He was like, no, you're not. I don't let people open for Paul. And one of my good friends named Sherman Golden said, yeah, you did tell him that. So I called my mother and I was like, this motherfucker ain't even let me open up at the club. And she said, just get your own club. Like I told you, if people don't let you ride their bike, you got to get your own bike. I said, you can't just open your own comedy club, mama. And she said, the good question, why not? I said, well, why not? So I went and found some investors and opened up my club and closed this club down.
They closed this club down?
Yes.
Wow. And what was your club before you got it? Was it a restaurant, a bar?
We built it out.
Club? You built it out.
We built it out from scratch.
Just an open space.
Open space, yes. Called it Uptown Comedy Corner.
And how many seater?
270.
That's a decent sized club.
Yeah, Chris DePetta helped me.
That's a good sized club.
Yeah, we opened it because he had the Punchline in Silver Springs, and he helped us do it with Gary Abdul.
So you build the place out.
Yes.
Obviously now you can perform there.
Yes.
It's kind of funny because I was trying to get into the Groundlings, and they threw me out of the Groundlings after being there for like 5 years. And I went and started my own improv troupe and then actually built the theater, the Acme Theater. And I did the same thing. I'm like, I got to be able to perform at my theater.
Right.
So they can't throw me out of this. It's my ball, so I get to play.
Right.
Right. So you built this place out. I did the same thing with Acme. It's just a square building with a roof and 4 walls, and we just built it out inside. You just built out the inside, right?
Right. We built it all out. Yes.
And you were able to get a liquor license and everything?
Yes, we did. Milk, liquor, food, the whole nine.
And then started playing there yourself.
Yes.
And getting acts to come in.
Well, it was hard getting black acts because my partner was white, so they, being in Atlanta during that time, and Atlanta is a real black city, culturally very. And the Black Comedy Club put out, that ain't his comedy club. He's fronting for the white dude, and then did the old thing that as a comedian. If you perform at his club, you ain't gonna be able to perform at my club. And they had 2 clubs. They had the one in here in L.A., and they had and all the great comics were coming through there. So I had to perform myself with other open micers until Steve Harvey came and said, I'll perform in your club. And once he came and performed in my club and drew all the people, they came to see him, and they discovered me, and the rest of it was history.
So Steve was the name that got them to come to the club, but then they discovered you at the club. And why did Steve Harvey do that?
First of all, Chris DePetta was his manager at that time.
Was that your partner?
Chris DePetta was.
Yes.
Okay. And he was managing Steve at the time. And I knew Steve when I thought about going into comedy before I got out the military. I was like, I went and saw him in Mobile and knocked on his door and asked him about this profession.
You saw him perform in Alabama?
Yes.
And you knocked on his dressing room door?
No, his hotel room.
Oh. So you figured out where Steve Harvey was staying?
Yeah.
So you went and saw Steve Harvey perform.
Right.
At a club. Well, why don't you tell us the story?
Well, I went to see him perform, and then the next day I found out where he was staying, and I knocked on his door. He was staying in a place, where you open up the door, you already outside in the parking lot.
Right.
And I knocked on the door. He came to the door with a knife in his hand.
Really?
Like, yeah, motherfucker, ain't nobody trying to rob you. I just want to ask you a couple questions. And he let me in, and we started talking. He told me all the nuances about being a comedian. And I said, okay, I'm going to try it.
Where was Steve in his career at this point?
I think he was just starting doing Showtime at the Apollo. He was a headliner, him and J. Anthony Brown. He was doing white clubs, the punchlines and stuff like that. Yeah, he was.
So he was generous with his time.
Yes.
Sat down.
Yes.
And remembered you later on.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, he remembered me.
And so now you got people coming in, and they come for Steve, but they see you.
Yes.
And that word gets around.
Yes.
And then now you're getting an audience there.
Yes.
And then what?
We get an audience, start bringing in bigger acts, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, everything on there. And it just exploded. And then the competition closed their doors. And then from that on, we was the thing in the city. Then I opened up another one on the other side of town, and then opened up another one in Dallas. Yes.
And are they still going today?
No. Uptown just closed. My partner at the time, he's still in the business. I think he got ATL. I forgot the name of his club, but he got 2 in Atlanta now, my ex-partner.
Is it just a ton of work doing something like that?
Yes, it is. I mean, because unless you establish comedy at a certain level, and people know that no matter who you put on that stage, it's going to be entertaining. It's hard because they're only going to come unless you have a named person.
Right.
And certain comedians have unrealistic expectations of what their worth is.
Well, I remember, I'll try to get this right. I remember, and I think I got the names right, but it's many years ago. I remember playing the Improv in like Sacramento, this was 15 years ago. And we were just talking with the owner backstage. And I said, who's the biggest pain in the ass comedians ever come through here? Like, who are the pain in the asses? Because what's the rider? My rider was like bottle of red wine and a jar of mixed nuts. And that was about it. But he said, well, I think it was Eddie Griffin who needed a new pair of tennis shoes for each show.
Air Force Ones.
Tennis shoes, right?
Yeah, Air Force Ones.
All right, so Eddie Griffin. By the way, I would never think of a new pair of tennis shoes for every show. And I don't know if maybe it was Roseanne. It was a female comedian. It was a big pain in the ass, too.
Right.
And Eddie needed a brand new pair of Air Force Ones for each show and a carton of cigarettes, I think.
I just knew about the Air Force Ones.
You just knew about the Air Force Ones. But who had the biggest pain in the ass rider for you? And you know about Eddie Griffin one then.
Yeah, because he's my friend, and people says it all the time. But I think he got down to he don't need him every new show.
Well, he must have gotten hundreds of pairs of
tennis I think shoes. He donated them after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he donated. I really didn't have my partner dealt with that aspect of it. Mm-hmm. He was the business part of the administrative part of the partnership. I deal with the comedy, so we really didn't have too much problem with it because the respect the comedians had for me. To be quite honest with you,
okay,
that's what I think.
Yeah,
being they're your peers, they're like, we ain't gonna do that to Quake.
So you saw him, and you saw all these guys on the way up.
Yes, every one of them.
Was there anyone you were wrong about or anyone you were right about? Like were you looking at young Chappelle or Chris Rock or guys like that?
I knew Chappelle when I personally picked Chappelle up from the airport, which that usually wasn't my forte of picking up comedians, taking them to the press. But when I found out how much money we was paying them, I was like, I got to see who this motherfucker is. And picked him up and we hung out, and he's from D.C. as well as I, and I'm from D.C., so we clicked on that. And then when he performed, I could immediately say, okay, I see why. Just the intelligence of his jokes.
So you can go door deals or you can go flat rates with people, or you can go, here's the guarantee, and then here's the door deal.
Yeah.
And, a real good deal would be 85, 90% of the door.
True.
That's a very good deal.
Yeah.
And so he'd have one of those kind of deals.
Yeah, he will have those or a high guarantee. And if you pick the wrong person with the high guarantee, it could close your club.
Has anybody ever negotiated with you? Like I did go to one time in my entire career, I didn't make the guarantee. Just one time. And it was a club in Houston that was in a giant parking lot.
Okay.
That looked like the rainforest, the club did.
All right.
And it was next to the biggest bar in the world, I say. And it was dicey, and people were scared to go down there, I think is what it was.
Right.
And there's tons of drunk people in the parking lot because it's next to the biggest bar in the world. Anyway, they didn't make the guarantee. And I don't know, the guarantee was $20K and we made $10K or whatever. And the club owner, and I knew it because nobody showed up. And the club owner came out after the shows and he just went, I know we had a deal for 20, but all I made was 10. And I said, let's call it 15. And then that was that. But does that ever happen with your club?
Yeah, I mean,
what would the policy be?
The policy, you got to get your money.
Most people just
You gotta
go,
get
give
their
me
money.
the guarantee.
But see, you the only time that'll happen is if you schedule around sporting events. Like this when the Braves was hot.
Yeah, shit
you know
happens.
what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they fuck around and make it to the playoff in Game 7.
Yeah.
Founds on with the usually or a big act come in there. See, that's a good thing about one of your owners, such as me, is a comedian. So if we have a big, like the Kings of Comedy comes, then I headline that weekend.
If they come to another venue.
If they come into another venue within the city.
Right.
Say the Omni, and it holds 14,000, and it's your constituents that's going.
Right.
There's no reason for you to bring up another headliner that you're giving a $20,000 guarantee to.
Right. So there's certain things like you get these dates on the books 6 months in advance or more, right? And then at some point, what you don't realize is you're booked in Denver and the Broncos are playing a playoff game that Sunday night, and you're like, you couldn't have seen it 6 months ago.
Right.
But now everyone in Denver's going to the game.
True.
Or watching it on TV. What they're not doing is going to the club.
At all.
Right. And then there are other times when somebody, could be the Kings of Comedy, could be Tim Allen. It just depends on who your crowd is, blows into town.
Yes.
He's playing the arena, and all your fans are going there.
True.
Right. So you have to chart that stuff.
Yeah, you have to chart, and it could cost you your club if you don't schedule properly.
Because you're on that thin a margin.
That thin a margin, and you don't want to get a reputation that you don't pay.
Right.
Then you won't get other acts to come.
Right. I was reading that you were doing a sitcom coming up with Bill Burr.
Yes.
And your Netflix special's out, by the way. People want to
Yes.
check that out. But the Bill Burr project for Netflix. Oh, wait.
Fox.
Sorry, I looked at the wrong spot. What is that? Tell us about that.
It's a sitcom we developing, and we getting script and everything together for Fox, and hopefully, prayerly, we'll make the schedule this next season coming up. So we developing.
Did you shoot the pilot yet?
No, Fox goes straight to series when they do what they.
Oh, they don't do pilots anymore.
No,
huh?
they go straight to series.
So they basically go. Let's look at the script. Let's look at some episode ideas.
Yes.
We don't need full scripts, but we need the one where your car gets stolen or whatever that is.
Right.
And let's look at something like a little sizzle thing or anything. Or
I don't know the process. I just know the process is that they don't do pilots. They go straight from script to ordering off of it.
Well,
So-
a pilot costs several $1 million, so it kind of makes sense that they don't.
I try to keep mine lower. Lower than the budget.
Well, I mean, if you go, look, we got Earthquake, we got Bill Burr.
Yeah.
We like the script.
Yes.
We all have an imagination. We can see
Yes.
everyone can perform.
Yes.
So why do we need to spend a few $1 million creating some version of this
Right.
that we may or may not use or that gets thrown away? Might as well just give them the money and get started.
And plus, they making the transition back to when they doing their conception. They're going back to the old Fox.
Oh, Fox is?
Yeah, Married with Children, Martin, and Living Color. So
they're going comedy and urban or just comedy?
comedy.
So Fox is getting back into that sitcom game.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah, and they Fox. I mean, with a mandate, it's Fox. We're not CBS. We're not NBC.
So there's a little more latitude for
A little more edge.
material.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Than Fox.
What is the general concept with you?
Leave LA, going back to my home in Washington, D.C. Got tired of being out here. Never thought they were going to call me to actually give me an opportunity in LA. So when my house burned down in LA fictitiously, and go back home to D.C. and be back around my neighbors and people that I grew up with.
So it's like a little slice of life. I mean, the subject,
Yes. Went to Hollywood. It didn't work out and just went back home.
And how's it work? Is it Bill Burr comes to you, or you go to Bill, or how's that work out?
Well, me and Bill, I've been a fan of Bill's, and great to know that he's a fan of mine. We both had pending deals at Fox, and he had a first look deal, and I had a development deal. So we just got together and put both our projects together.
Development deals are great, or they used to be.
Yeah, they used to be. Ain't no money now.
They used to. It was literally the dream of every poor blue-collar person who grew up, which is you get paid to stay home. And it was so awesome.
Used to be them fat checks.
And they would pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they basically just go, look, we're just going to pay you a bunch of money. Don't go anywhere else. And if you think of anything funny, come to us.
Right.
And that was as easy as work got.
Yeah.
And those were the old days, because now it ain't what it was.
Nah, they first come deals.
Things are much leaner, much meaner. But it makes sense. It's all the competition, all the YouTube, all the stuff catching up to everybody. So I get it. And there was some real, and I think there's definitely a chance for the renaissance of the sitcom. It sort of was the hottest thing around. Then it kind of went dormant for a while. But I could see the Fox come back.
I think so. I think we're going to be the flagship for it to give those, all in the Family, Jeffersons, that type, Married with Children type of comedy in a multi-camera.
Yeah, All in the Family was great. Jeffersons were great. Good Times were great. I used to live off those things.
Yeah.
I never really, it's funny as I think back on it, I would watch All in the Family, and it was weirdly more foreign to me than Sanford and Son. Because now, see, we do too much about color, but
right.
Sanford and Son took place in L.A., and it was like a junkyard, and I kind of knew that world a little bit, and that kind of made sense, like just being poor and living in L.A. and buying shit secondhand. I've been to, garage sales, thrift stores. We everything for us was secondhand junk, And I identified with Lamont and Red Fox and all that. And then Archie Bunker was in Queens, and I didn't know where that was. And even though it was a white family, I didn't identify. He was like, he lived in Queens. He worked at the docks or something.
Right.
I didn't know what that was. We didn't have, I was from North Hollywood. So we didn't have docks or anything. And so I tended to just identify more with the black sitcom than I did with the white sitcom. But it was whoever was funny kind of won. I mean, everyone I knew they'd watch Cheers, all white, and then they'd watch Good Times, all black. They'd watch them both.
Right.
They liked them.
Right.
They're funny. I think there's too much talk about demographics. I feel like if it's good, it's good, and people will watch. You don't have to look like them.
Like my mantra is, I don't have a black show, I got a hit show. So that's our mentality. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My thing is, I don't have a white show, I have a failure. It's a little different, but it's the same sentiment.
Okay.
At least that's how it's expressed to me.
That's funny, Adam.
Well, write it down. And also doing Sirius XM as well, Quake House. With, and that's on, let's see, whose network is that on?
That's on Sirius. We just wrapped up our 7th season. So
7th season.
Yeah, we looking
That's
for
what
another.
Is that on Kevin Hart's network?
Yes, but we just ended it, and we're about to move into a new neighborhood, same house. So we're gonna find another place.
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, we just our contract working with Sirius and Kevin Hart has ended after 7 years, and I'm about to find another place for my show to go.
Kevin Hart seems like the hardest working man in show business.
Yes.
Is that correct?
To me, he is.
Is it just go all the time?
I don't know, but he act like he could take it with him.
Yeah, he does, right?
Yeah.
Well, at a certain point, it's not about money. It's just sort of about potential and living up to it or something. I don't know. Most of the guys I know who are real successful, they have enough money. They never feel like they do, but they do. They got enough. It's more about being relevant, being in the game, being part of lots of stuff, being in the mix all the time.
I would not. That's one thing I don't. I don't evaluate other people's motives or reasoning. But me personally, only reason you see I'm working, I don't have no money yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, you take a guy like Sirius XM, you take a guy like Howard Stern.
Yes.
He has enough money. Now, it's not up to me to tell people who has enough money.
Right.
And there's plenty of people who work at Home Depot who think I have enough money.
Right.
But you would know I don't if you lived in my shoes. But so far be it from me to say someone's got enough. But he has enough money, but I think he likes to be involved. He wants to be part of the conversation,
you
part
talking
of the
about
game.
Howard Stern?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he wants to be in the mix.
Okay.
Which I don't blame him for. But you know what I mean? He wants to make news. He wants to be in the game. You know what I'm saying? And when you get out, you're out. You know what I mean? And so I think it feels like a lot of successful people I know, they want to be in the game. They got enough money, or their two jobs will give them enough money, but why they need 7? You know what I mean?
I think Kevin has the aspiration to be a mogul, and that's what he is, and God bless him.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean? The mogul. I mean, he's a mogul. It energizes him, it motivates him, and God bless him. And me, myself, just enough for me to be able to financially take care of the people that I love, and then I'm out.
Any earners in your family?
What you mean by earners? They're self-sufficient, but
yeah, but I mean, wouldn't it be nice to have a vacation house or something somewhere? Somebody dies and leaves you something.
No, we don't have that. I tell all the time. I tell my wife, I say I make enough money for me. It's you I don't make enough money for.
Yeah.
Not that she asks, is what I want her to have. So that she's the reason why I work. But I make enough money for me.
I get it, but wouldn't it be nice to just have somebody in the family who made enough money for them and you and in a cottage and a condo in Hawaii?
I wouldn't even know how to act.
Yeah, it'd be confusing, right?
It'd be very confusing. That'd be foreign territory for me. And my family, we independent contractors on its own. You eat what you kill.
I know. I don't have anything either, and I know my family does, but I do hear about stories where somebody died and they had the vacation home in Palm Springs and that him and his sister got it.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
Just something.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
An old vintage expensive car that your dad had for 50 years and now it's yours.
No, you ain't getting none
something.
of that.
A warehouse somewhere. Something you could rent out.
Might get some tennis shoes.
Some shoes.
Or some pictures. But you ain't getting nothing that you can take to the thrift store. It's a memento, That's about it.
Does your wife's family have anything?
If they do, she never told me.
Uh-huh.
So
did your parents pass away?
Yes, my parents are gone.
What'd they leave you?
Memories.
That's the greatest line from Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Memories.
When he died, all he left us
was alone. By myself.
That's the greatest.
Nothing but alone.
That's the greatest.
I used to
line
always
of music.
thought the song say he left us alone, like alone.
Right.
But then as I got older, it was alone. You know
right.
What I mean? I thought it was alone. Well, he left you something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he thought it was like a mortgage or something.
Yeah, he left you alone.
Right.
He loaned you some money. I didn't know it was alone. He left. I said, oh, damn. Now this song is very sad.
Yeah. I got a Tony Bennett CD from my dad that used to be mine that I gave him. So I just got it back. because it was autographed to me. And I couldn't figure out why it was autographed to me, but it's because I gave it to him. And I got a book.
Yeah.
From a Dennis Prager friend of mine who wrote the book, so I probably could have got the book.
Right.
And I got a newspaper clipping.
No. Yeah. Of yourself?
No, it was something that he wrote for the LA Times like 35 years ago. And he gave me a clipping of that. And
it's gonna make me cry.
I got a bag. I got a Trader Joe's bag. It came in.
You need a hug.
Oh my God. Now my mom did less. So
what'd your mom leave you?
My mom did not leave her kids anything, but she did leave us a note explaining she was a good mom. But the thing that was crazy about it is it was made out to me and my sister. So it was just one note.
So you didn't get no individual note?
No, it was a form letter.
She gave you a group text?
It was like a letter you get from a politician. You know, when you get an email from Kamala Harris and you're like, oh, Kamala. And then at the bottom, she wants money. That's basically what we got left at.
At least was the signature authentic or was it manufactured?
It was stamped. Auto pen. I was thinking about the other day, I was walking on PCH, I was like, she made a letter, but it was for me and my sister, which is weird because we're totally different. And also, I got boy-girl kids. I couldn't imagine writing them just one form letter about being a good dad. But by the way, the thing about the form letter about I was a good parent, even though you don't know it, it doesn't work on the people you parented. It will work on the neighbors or the neighbors' kids. It don't work for the people who are there.
Right.
They're on to you because they were there. But yeah, I got the note.
Did you speak at the funeral?
Oh, my God. I think this is where we're going to part cultural ways. Mom and my dad both died, no funeral.
What?
See, tell that to a brother. Nothing. Nothing. No anything.
No. Hold up. They died and that's it?
They died and that's it.
Man.
There's no urn. There's no ashes. There's no headstone. There's no ceremony. There's no wake. There's no church. No preacher. Nothing. When white people are atheists, they can just die. And that'll be that.
You're an atheist?
Well, that's my family's that way.
Oh, okay.
I'm a little less, but the point is real atheists, white people, they just die.
Damn.
And they take it to the grave. And
don't nobody
consistent.
say bye. Nothing. Ain't no gathering together.
No food.
No food.
There was. Here's what I'm saying. Nothing. I'm talking. When I say zero, I don't mean 3%. I mean no anything. There's no nothing, which is incredible because I think black folk do it up a little better.
Yeah, that's
than
hunting
white
ground.
atheists. We do nothing.
Ain't nothing like picking up a woman at a wake.
Oh, you can do that. Huh?
Yeah.
Because they're vulnerable.
They're very vulnerable, especially the ones that didn't have no life insurance. Oh, that's where you catch them right there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's good hunting.
Yeah.
Because you could tell she's contemplating how she going to maintain that standard of living now. The provider is in the ground.
Gotcha.
And
That ain't no Okinawa military base. That's fertile soil.
That's fertile soil. You can get it 10 cents on the dollar right there.
Smart.
Oh, yeah.
Because
she know right then and there. Yeah, go to a wake. You pick them up. And you sit there coming in with a dish like some potato salad, set it on the table.
Like bait?
Yeah. Look her in the face, and she'd be like, you could tell she'd been crying, eyes are puffy and everything. And you just look in the face and say, what's wrong? And she just look you back and say, I'm in a bind, Nate. I'm in a bind. I got you.
Smart. See,
tell the kids, Uncle going to be over here from now on.
My parents never had your parents must have done something when they died, right? You had a whole funeral and everything.
Well, we
right?
had a funeral. I took care of it.
You took care of it?
For both of them, my mother and my father.
You paid for both of them?
Yes, I did. I buried both of them on it. And
headstone, casket, everything. Thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thousands of dollars they're laying beside each other.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
They stayed married all these years.
Yeah, because when my mother passed first, and when I went and bought the lot, I said, "Well, give me." I want 2. They said 2, yeah, because I looked at my father. I said, he next.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So might as well get both of them together.
So your parents stayed married for how long?
60 years.
60 years?
Yeah.
That's unique.
Yeah, it was. And they argued 59 of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, they used to go at it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they never got divorced?
No.
How many brothers and sisters you have?
I got 3 brothers and 1 sister.
And I'm guessing since nobody could pay for the funeral, they weren't wildly successful people.
No, they could have paid, but it's like in show business. Whoever got the most money, pick up the tab.
Yeah.
And I'm the one.
Yeah. But both. I feel like you do one and then they all chip in with the other.
I got it.
I bought my father-in-law's casket was $11,000.
Yeah.
And I paid for it.
Did you?
Yeah. That was uncomfortable.
Did he try to upgrade?
He was gone, but
No, I mean the funeral director. Did he try to upgrade?
I did not talk to the funeral director. If I had talked to the funeral director, I wouldn't have paid $11,000 for a casket.
I talked to him.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
He tried to upsell you?
Yeah, he did.
What'd he do?
He would try to give me the golden or the platinum package.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, right? I said, nah, we good. My mother and father didn't believe in fancy stuff.
Yeah, well.
So that's what I told him.
That's what you told him. Yeah. Well, look, I saved a lot of money with my mom and my dad because that was free.
Okay.
My mom donated her body to UCLA Medical.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And my dad, unclear where he is. I don't know where he is, but he's somewhere. But it's the beauty of being an atheist. You just move right along. Nothing. I don't know many people who have no idea where their parents went after they died. But it's nuts.
I just don't know the transition, man. They gone and then they just gone. You just get the notice that they passed and that's it. So fuck closure. That's the closure. Notification is the closure.
Them dying is the closure. That's the closure. They died and they closed. And now it's done. Earthquake, let me give you some plugs before we bid you adieu. Special. Joe Kellen Business, out on Netflix. Very funny. It's been there for a couple months. You can check that out. Live dates or anywhere you want to find them, go to therealearthquake.com.
Yes.
Twitter, Instagram as well. We'll look forward to that Fox sitcom coming up.
Thank you.